some of the hottest cars New York has ever seen. From dropping some of the hottest verses rappers ever heard. From the ghost spot with the smoke, fleeing the murder scene, you know me well. From nightmares of a lonely cell, my only hell. But since when y'all brothers know me to fail? Heck no, we're all my brothers with the rubber grips for shots. And if you with me, mama, rub on your tits and whatnot. I'm from the school of the hard knocks. You must not let outsiders violate our box in my plot. Let's stick up the world and split it 50-50, Let's take the dough and stay real taking, And sip the Chris and get pissy, flowing beneathly like the memory of my brother Biggie, baby. You know it's hell when I come through. The life and times of Sean Carter, brother, volume 2. Y'all brothers get ready. It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. It's the hard knock life. It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us. Instead of treated, we get tricked. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. It's the hard knock life.
Hello everybody, glad to be here with you guys today. Going to get into some of this in a bit. I know that the notice got put out a little late, and basically speaking, that's how it is sometimes, you know, real life gets in the way. But I'm going to recognize a few guys that are in the comments. There's only a few of you, and that basically is the one and only Dennis Leal, who's in the house. Thanks, Francisco. Good to have you here. How you doing, man? How's it going? Jetpack JO229, feeling Quantus Majorical. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Thank you. That's a good one. Yeah, peace to you as well, man. Always good to see you, man. Old familiar faces, right? Shovel Trouble 74, welcome. Boom. Glad to have you guys here. Please smash the like. It does trigger the algorithm. I understand, you know, a lot of people feels, well, a late notice, but hey, sometimes I gotta go spontaneous. I will also make this announcement. While there's no JASMY tonight, we will get into some of the other content for other coins and tokens that we cover, like Stellar, Stronghold, etc., etc. But tonight, Quant takes the cake. There will be also, just as people file in, the Investorplace report. Some of you guys are the hardcore fanatics. You always look forward to that report. So, just going to welcome a few more of you guys, and then we'll get into it here in a bit. Cross Purposes. Good morning, Max, and all. Best channel. Hey, thanks, man. That's quite the compliment. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Waddy, the crypto hunter. So, what's up, bro? Hey, Waddy. Good to see you, man. Thanks for the support, buddy. Really do appreciate it. All right. So, whether we have a big crowd or not right now, that's not the point. The point is we got to get into material. People could always watch on the replay. So, what we're going to do now is welcome one more person, then we'll get into it. Hump Not Dump says, yo, 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 yo. Good to see you, Badir. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate that. All right. So, we're going to just go ahead and get right into it. And if people fall in, there, of course, will be people that will fall right in for the QNT segment, right? You guys know the drill. Let's turn on the brand. And basically speaking, you can follow me on the X platform at DPG Maximus. So, we have the weekend report. And what exactly is that? Why is this significant? Well, it is from an Investorplace, and every so often I do share this with you. So I want to get into this. Let's go ahead and full screen this. Basically speaking, over the weekend, they had this report, and I thought it was worthwhile. There's some key things to pay attention to, because there's a lot of doubt, let's face it, when it comes to these things you may be invested in. You may be brand new and you're like, man, I don't know what's going on. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so weekly update over the weekend. Crypto stand at a critical moment this boom cycle. And I should say, Investorplace sticking to their guns. That's the bottom line. Rough week, even right now. It's kind of rough. I'm taking advantage of the dips. Are you taking advantage of the dips? BTC dropped about 7%. Lowest level in the month, while most altcoins shed more than 10%. It's getting painful, guys, right? But this is how Investorplace feels as though that it would play out. And I want to point this out. So they predicted that a series of soft inflation reports coupled with weakening jobs and data, would become what they refer to as dovish, right? Tomato. Fed statement in regards to Wednesday. How that's going to cause treasury yields to crash and spark a big rally in cryptos. And let's face it, guys, Investorplace has been very consistent in regards to these cycles and these rallies. They state all of those things happen except the big rally in cryptos. So, if we're going to be critical, some of you guys are pointing that out too. This week's inflation reports were all soft. Look at this for a second. The Consumer Price Index CPI report on Wednesday was softer than expected. The Producer Price Index, I've been reading all day long, so bear with me, reported that on Thursday it was softer than expected. Bottom line is this. The Import-Export Price report on Friday, also softer than expected. Here's a chart to, reference. All the charts come from Bloomberg. Core inflation continues to fall and is on track to hit, like you see right there, that 2% mark by late 2024. Do you believe that's going to happen? Or do you think it's just going to be worse? Like we're going to have everything climb up. This is not great news. Maybe you feel as though it's great news. Bottom line is this. Other economic data is weak. Weekly jobless claims surged to their highest level in 9 months, while the University of Michigan, shout out to you guys that are Wolverines fans, consumer sentiment index crashes in June, posting its biggest 3-month drop since summer 2022. And I realize a lot of this is verbatim, but it is Investorplace, and I don't really want to skip over anything because you guys do want to know about this. So there's that. Take a moment to look at that. But the Fed statement on Wednesday, basically speaking, was, for example, dovish. Their newly released summary of economic projections reduced the number of projected rate cuts for 2024 from 3, boom, down to 1. All right, listen to this for a second also. Investorplace feels as though that dot plot was filled out before the week's soft inflation and labor market data. We're always paying attention to both. They feel as though it's now obsolete. Not just feeling that way, the charts represent that with the data. Looking past the dot plot, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell sounded, for example, dovish in his remarks on Wednesday. Quote, these soft macroeconomic developments led to a significant decline in the 10-year Treasury yield to 4.2%. At this point, yields appear to be rolling over in a major way. How so? Well, look. You have, for example, the 10-year Treasury yield, and that has broken its 2021 uptrend support line. This is why I'm not in the frame. I want you to see this. The next stop is 4%. After that, 3.5%, and then 3%. Again, don't base it off opinion. Base it off the actual data. People could say, oh, I feel this way, I feel that way. You got to go by the data, okay? All right, how about this? In short, everything they expected in regards to Investorplace happened. All right, how about this? Inflation eased, labor market cooled, the Fed sounded a course dovish. Treasury yields crashed. Now, this is where you guys come in. All right, cool story, Max. Why didn't cryptos rally? Great question. That's their big question as well. But listen to this. They don't have a definite answer, but they always reference data. So it is a bit of a head scratcher, but their best guess, and let's be honest, all of us, whether it's Investorplace and so on, That's all we could do is take our best guess, but we have to have something to reference to give us an idea what we could expect, especially in this particular cycle. So their best guess is that investors are once again worried, and I'll highlight for you, about a recession. We've been talking about that for a while. And that is crushing risk appetites for things like, for example, crypto. But are you giving in to the fears? That's the bottom line. Are you giving into all this fear? Are you selling? I hope not, right? Not financial advice, but I would hope not. So these are fears that are rooted in the idea that the Fed is behind, of course, the 8-ball on its policy stance. A little bit more about this. While Powell sounded dovish on Wednesday, the Fed's new dot plot skews hawkish, indicating no urgency to cut interest rates. Some of their channels pointing this out too. All right, look at this for a second. Recent economic data, such as a surge in jobless claims to a 9-month high and then basically plunged in consumer sentiment, marketing its biggest 3-month drop since, of course, crypto winter summer 2022. That suggests the Fed could need urgency soon. Do you feel that way as well? I don't know. It's kind of mixed, right? But this data adds to evidence that the U.S. economy is slowly, kind of doing its thing. Investors worry that if the Fed does not cut rates soon, let's face it, that's a lot of us, right? The economy will fall into a recession. Now, I also am fully aware of some of the recent news in regards to Tether and some of these other things. There's this big rumor about Saudi Arabia dropping the U.S. dollar. I just want to state this. From what I gather, that is not true. Imagine how news spreads. I thought it was true until I read more about it, more of my own research. We'll get into that, and that'll be part of the Quant outline as well. But this whole thing about this big concern that's on the mind of me, you, and everybody else. This is why cryptos have been dropping despite bullish inflation data and falling treasury yields. I mean, at the end of the day, it is action reaction. But investors worry the Fed will wait too long to cut interest rates. Are you also part of that belief? Now, Investorplace feels as though this fear, we understand this fear, but they don't necessarily share it. I get it, guys. A lot of us here may share that. That's okay. The Fed emphasized that they will remain data dependent and their outlook is, like, for example, not yet set in stone. Nothing's set in stone. I mean, in reality, black swan events can happen, right? But if the data shifts hawkish, they will respond with tighter policy. Now, I want to also state this. This is also why I just started off with this segment instead of getting right into Q&T, because, I mean, in reality, we had to have some people filtering. I'm not going to just do, the deepest dives about Q&T. There's nobody here. I mean, come on, But I want to state this, okay? So, last week, I shared with you guys some crucial information in regards to Quant, the bigger picture in regards to Quant, and basically, sharing with you guys, look here. Nadine Shakar, I said it right this time, not Shakur. She's not related to Tupac. Anyway, Shakar, what she had to share with that institutional, podcast, if you will. And literally, the other week we saw her, another member who was Mr. Domingo, I believe, Rodrigo Domingo, and people from, Six Digital Exchange, Securitize, Secure and Safe for that matter, pitched the whole thing to House Democrats. Bottom line is this in a nutshell. It is regulation and it is policy. So this does align with all this. When we get in the Quant coverage of the night, you will see alignment. I want you to also have that in your head. All right, a little bit more about this. They have confidence the Fed will not wait too long to cut interest rates. We'll see. But they will respond to weakening inflation. That's true. Why else would Powell address everybody? It is to address that, right? So, weakening inflation and economic data with a more significant dovish shift, leading to the first rate cut by September. Amidst the shift, Investorplace, and I'm kind of with them on this for the most part, believe that cryptos, especially altcoins or beloved altcoins, will regain upward momentum. This is typically the point in the halving cycle where Bitcoin, BTC that is, and altcoins go parabolic. We do not think this time will be different. Now, I have cited this before, and it has changed a little bit since the last time I was with you. So there is that chart. The white represents where we're currently at in this particular cycle. As you can see, orange on the chart represents, for example, the period of, I believe that was the second cycle, okay? And so blue would have been last cycle, all right? So again, the whites are significant. Like, do you feel as though that, yeah, you're going to see some big things? Now, I get it. Shout out to GG, Digital G. He pointed out, it's one thing to point out the charts and the data from previous cycles and so on, but the difference this time is basically what? The ETS. That's a valid point. I get that. But we still had to have something to reference. And that's why we always reference what's going on with, jobs reports, inflation, what's going on in regards to foreign policy. Is there talks of wars? You get it, right? All right. Wrapping this up here in a bit as far as this segment goes. Having said all that, everything that was presented, we need to be mindful of the current price action. And yes, let's be honest, it is ugly. But are you taking advantage of what is ugly, right? So BTC lost the 2024 uptrend support line this last week, which was at 67.5. It also lost its 20-day moving average, which for some of you guys, like shout out to Waddy who pays attention to this stuff, it was at 68,600. 50-day moving average was 65,900. And the 100-day moving average was 66.6. The only major support level BTC is basically holding on that 200-day moving average, is paying attention like what went all the way down to like 56K. And a lot of influencers, content creators are covering that. And I don't really try to do the whole technical analysis. Only do this part because somebody does it for me, right? Investorplace, right? They're the experts in my opinion. But the whole thing about RSI dropping toward 30 is not yet oversold, they state. So it's not low enough for a bounce. So some of you guys are into this stuff. You might want to pay attention to that. Moving average, convergence, divergence, which is MACD as we know, also triggered a bearish crossover, and it has no sign of reversal. The technicals on BTC look very weak at the current moment. I'll come out of the screen because I want you to put emphasis on this as well. Let's show that. So on that, look what it shows. Everybody should be mindful of these bearish technicals. The last thing we want to do right now is try and catch falling knives. I would 100% agree on that. Instead, they think it's the best strategy is to maintain bullish bias. Wait to buy the dip in cryptos until BTC shows technical signs of bouncing. Now, again, for projects like, QNT, I wouldn't go all in and just like, I'm taking all advantage of all of this. I will give a shout to Mind Crypto. Check out his video. He talks about, in his thumbnail, he mentions the whole notion of, could QNT go down to 40? Here's why. Well, if it goes to 40, I will state this. You want to talk about your back up the truck event. For me, that would be. Is it for you? Are you the one of those type of guys who are like, hell no. That's the lowest it's been since, summer 2022. That's a great point. That's a great point. So is this in alignment with what Investorplace is mentioning? That's, of course, why I'm bringing it to you guys. Come back out of the frame for a second. Put some emphasis on this. So you will see here the technicals. But again, I mean, they've been kind of referencing this for a while. But look what it says. They want to be aggressive, but they do still stick to the whole thing that they have strong beliefs that cryptos will do what? They will freaking soar this summer. They didn't say fall, they said this summer. And we're already in summer. So this is bold for them to state this still. They're sticking to their guns. Why? Because they feel as though once current Fed risk disappear, and I know you guys pay attention to this stuff, they feel as though it could actually disappear soon, and that altcoins will finally kick into gear this summer. Now, there's, of course, a bunch of other notes. I'm not going to get into that. What do you feel? Type of 1 if they're going to soar. Type of 2 if you feel as though, and 3, like, you don't know. 1, 2, or 3, okay? All right, we're going to kick it back into the comments. After we do so and recognize some questions, concerns, whatever, we're going to get right into the Q&T segment. Now, on that segment, there won't be any interruptions as far as me taking pauses and so on. It's going to be boom, boom, bing, bing, bang, and so on. Why is that? My buddy's coming over to help me out with the situation with my vehicle. I don't want to get into that, but it's crucial that he helps me out. I want to respect his time. At the same time, I don't want to make this a 2 or 3 hour long show. So with that said, I'm going to kick it over to the comments just for a brief bit. I do appreciate you guys being here. Smash a like if you haven't done so already. There's a dab to you all. And let's see who's next in order in regards to, you know, who's on the list. And let me double check the other screen, make sure I didn't lose my place. I didn't, so that's good. All right, so we did tick up a bit, and that helps at 115 combined on both streams, X and YouTube. All right, so basically speaking, let's see here. All right, yes, sorry, my phone was calling, but it's a different guy. All right, Craig Burr says, thanks for all you do, Max. I'm from the Rob Crypto Future community. Oh, you're from Rob's stream? Oh, okay, well. Scam. No, I'm kidding. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Craig, shout out to Rob, Crypto Future. I know I need to get him on here and invite him and so on. It's just, I want to respect his time and I want him to have the proper attention and so on. But that's awesome to have you. Thank you, Craig. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Craig. Anybody you see that you don't normally see, guys, always welcome them. So what's up with altcoins bleeding? We already talked about that. XXI Gaming, good to see you. 21 Gaming, Brandon, good to see you, buddy. All right, let's read this real quick. This is a good comment. It's on topic. Humpty, aka Badir, says he believes the BTC pump after NVIDIA will squirt. All right, bro. Try not to derail me too much. All right, whatever you want to call it. This, jeez, the super chips because the miners need better chips to mine BTC. I'm gonna have to filter some of your comments. Anyway, then we have 3 laptops. All right, that's cool. Sorry, it was a bad moment. Not my best. All right, bullish choices. Hi, Max. Community. So you guys, the emojis, kind of something else. All right. But glad to have you, Luis. Welcome. Sinbad likes. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while, Sinbad. Bro, Europe cut rates next week. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just doing some references. HTTR all day. We're going to get to that part. We're not at it yet. And hold on, I'll read a couple more comments from you, Humpty. I can't read them all tonight because I'm kind of on a time constraint. But all right, this is good stuff. So Humpty feels as though, I'll read this actually real quick from Wadi. I want to respect him. He says, I'm here, bro. If it breaks to the 200, okay, you think it's dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. All right, back to Humpty. He feels as though, he said before, BTC, when it comes... when it's up, it's because of Sam Bankman-Fraud, right? Got to meet some... Oh, jeez. Okay. All right, it's fun. I'm glad you guys are having fun. All right, let's see here. Shovel Trouble 74. I'll read this as well. Max, got to get back to work, mate. Keep up the great research. Yes, Mine Crypto is my other coin. Awesome. You can always check out the replay. I also want to welcome Tim Shea, Mayor Crypto Commissioner, representing the XRP Army, the 589th, right? Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you being here. All right. So you guys gave me some feedback. 1, you're a 2, Humpty. Okay, that's fine. All right, Patrick Collier in the house. Crypto Homes. I do appreciate you guys. We'll read this as well. YouTube user Joke Coin Brett goes to a $2 billion market cap. No problem. And Q&T struggles to maintain a $1 billion market cap. What? It is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not here to tell anybody to buy anything. I present information. You take the research as you want. But I get people's frustration, and we welcome other opinions. All right, so GF Burke in the house. Good to see you. I do appreciate it. Craig Burr. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's funny. You do watch all the videos. That's funny. All right. Shiny Goo, welcome back. Glad to have you. All right, so what we're going to do now is just simply get into the outline. Let's turn up some of that branding just for a brief moment because it kind of helps me with my markers. All right, so we're going to start the Q&T segment right now. We're going to get right to the point. And basically speaking, there was so much to be said when it comes to this. So I want to first thank Praetorian. I'm fully aware of this site. You guys have seen this site as well. We'll start off with this. Just kind of think outside the box. You may feel as though this is dreaming, but it's a nice thing to kind of, get more people to filter in and understand the bigger picture. So Bottom line is this: QNT with the market cap of BTC is basically $88,394.83 per token, right? And that sounds crazy. Some people, like, if I would have started off the show like that, people would have been like, oh, that's clickbait. At the end of the day, we want to know something. We all have our beliefs and whatnot. But I will state this continuously for the record. If BTC was able to do what it has done, what about QNT that connects literally everything? It is, in my opinion, like, it's a Web3 assembly line. We talk about, Henry Ford back in the day and introducing the assembly line, like well over 100 years ago and so on. Should we treat Quant like that, but as far as like Web3? I mean, it's API everything. It's got so much things going on with Bank of International Settlements, Bank of England, the typical things, if you will, right? But the thing is this: it's so much more than just CBDCs, and I know a lot of us don't like hearing stuff like that, but Quant and API, everything. Again, try to remember that, okay? So this is at the current market cap of BTC, okay? This is not about future market cap, current market cap, all right? What about some of those things that Investorplace just mentioned? Right? What about when we get to the height of the bull run? Understand how huge QNT's potential could be. Okay, I have a timeline I'm going to get into as well on this outline. I'm telling you flat out, this is going to be some of my best research. I know I say that quite a bit, but I stand by that. I also state this: I want to give a shout out to Quant Papa once again for his collaboration on the research. I also have quite a bit of my own deep dive research to connect all of this. So this outline from beginning to end will give you a solid breakdown, okay, of some things. And yes, I know you guys see in the title, Swift. So we're going to get into that as well. All right. So let's jump into this as well. This is also good stuff. And it's kind of like a nice little thing, because there's people here, I know for a fact, as we speak, you're not impressed with Quant. I can't do anything to impress you. I just present the info. You take it as you please. But look, I guarantee you, on the chopped up version, there's going to be at least one, maybe two guys in the comments, because it happens every time. Look at this for a second. They will say things like this, and that is what? They don't see the Quant logo. It doesn't say it. Doesn't say Quant anywhere. I don't see the direct partnership. I don't know what this Max guy is talking about. He is just all about hopium. He is just like any other content creator. I don't see it. Again, remember how Quant, Gilbert Verdian and the crew talk about how Quant is what? They are the foundation for building on blockchain. This is a great visual, Been a while since I teach the kiddos, right? But I miss teaching. I kind of teach here, if you will. But the point is understanding the bigger picture, right? We talk about the foundational structure, the plumbing, what is underneath the ground, if you will, that nobody sees. And it's basically QNT. And that's just a visual. We're going to get right into the good stuff. So this is from Finaxtra. I want to point this out in a bit. Now, there's some big news in regards to other things that happened in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm fully aware of it. So I want to point out this. And it states basically about the beauty of all this, right? So the beauty of tokenization and so on. So it says live in London. This is coming up October 8th, 2024. That's a different thing in regards to a different event. But in recent news, I'm not the only one covering it. It's EBA Day 2024. Tokenization and digital identity will lead banking evolution. Posted 8 hours ago. We're going to full screen this. Let's get into this. Take that off for a second. And basically, you will see here how everything is basically evolving. How tokenization, digital identity will lead banking evolution. So I want to point out this guy. His name is David Birch. He's a huge name when it comes to like Forbes, for instance, right? So keep in mind that he was at the conference. He presented a thing called a challenge in a speech titled Digital Money, Digital Asset, Digital Identity, the Future of Banking. But the key thing is this quote: tokenization will be driven by money people, not technology people, as it will be vastly cheaper. It will drive more liquidity into that space. People point out numerous times how the heck can Quant do what it's going to do in regards to the liquidity problem and so on? This guy Birch, who I'm going to introduce a little bit more here in a bit, explained that digital identity will be significant in the future of financial market infrastructure, but first, resilience needs to be established in European payments. He outlined, for example, the significance of fungible and non-fungible tokens, NFTs. We understand how big Quant is when it comes to, for example, ERC, was it 7, not ERC 20, but the other one, which is the NFT standard, right? There's so many standards, it's hard to remember it all. But fungible tokens, the future of those payments, right? Having utility-based, for example, NFTs. So he states that we have this burgeoning token, and that in that token economy, we see new financial infrastructure being built. You can see the steps towards this, right, for the last 2 years, and I'm going to get into that as well. The new stage, the next stage, where people are doing the initial experiments, that's been done for the most part. Looking towards for interoperability, and soon we will see the new financial markets infrastructure growing where ledgers are coming up. All right, and there's more about this, but, like he also says, we don't want to digitize identity. We want to make a digital identity that is dynamic, right? Because otherwise, you're not going to get people on board on it. If it was just digital identity and only that, then people are going to be scared of, Mark of the Beast, all that stuff, and I get that. I totally get that. I want to jump over to this for a second because we talked about liquidity, okay? So here's the next slide. I know I'm out of the frame, but this... if I zoom in on this, it's going to look all funky, so I have to be out of the frame for a bit. This is an old reference from December 2022, but it's going to pound home the topic tonight. Fund tokenization, solving liquidity, access challenges in private equity. I'm going to get right to the good stuff. And basically, it's simplifying the redemption process. So, up here you see the combination of private equity, digital assets may even outperform listed stocks. Larry Fink referenced this before in recent interviews. As I get more into this, and it caught my attention to share it with you guys, but it's this right here. This guy, Kevin Unai, who is the founder of what is called Backed, had a discussion not that long ago and, ongoing the last few years, but he stresses that liquidity depends on the tokenomics used by a fund manager. Think about that for a second. Why is Larry Fink and BlackRock putting so much emphasis on this, right? So, more specifically, is the investment diversified? I mean, if anything, is this how ETFs basically open up? I think so, but he states that at Backed, that's the name of the company, we ensure investors get a stake in the daily trading volumes as well as the valuation and how that increases the total assets. He has basically combined private equity with digital assets. He states that we've ensured its liquidity by tokenizing it and listing it on what? Centralized and decentralized exchanges. As digital assets become more valuable over to macroeconomic factors and scarcity, and look at that key term because we know QNT is more scarce than even what? BTC, far less supply, 14.88 million tokens compared to BTC with, was it 21 million, give or take, right? The combination of private equity and digital assets may even outperform listed stocks. Again, back to the Larry Fink quote. This last part I'm going to get into before we kick it into the other thing. Let's share this. Just in case some of you guys feel as though that Quant is so far down, why in the world would you want to have it? They're not doing anything. Well, finally, an example. Do you know that Quant is now advertising? And they're going on an advertising spree. Now, I want to point this out. You will not see that necessarily on X. And we have pointed out in regards to the research from an institutional point of view that if you want to find out what's going on with the institutions, or you want to find out like the bigger blue chip players, what they're really doing, you have to go on sites like LinkedIn and whatnot, right? They post over there. Call it what you want. There's certain things they just don't want retail to be shared on X. Maybe violations of NDAs, maybe false narrative, whatever the case be. But on these platforms, they've been very consistent with this. Check this out for a second. Let's full screen this as well. You will also see here that they have this advertisement. it was a screenshot that Quant Papa did, which is cool. And it says, simplify blockchain, what? Interoperability, I zoomed in a little bit more, connect to multiple networks effortlessly, start for free. As you can see, promoted. That's an ad. That's a blatant ad. And to have that over on Indeed speaks volumes. You may not think so yet. Give it time. It will. But code-free blockchain interoperability with Overledger, the enterprise standard for building, of course, on blockchain. And then you have a screenshot. I love how they do these little tidbits. Token flow. You know, we talk about even with JASMY when it comes to data free flow with trust, understanding that standards are a big, big deal. Gives you a little taste of that code because they want people to understand if they were to click on learn more, how you don't even need to have to learn code at all at this point. Quant used to boast 3 lines of code. Now it's no lines of code. That's game changer. We talk about Web3, not having to know code. You can have a business, plug right into Quant, get the job done for whatever your business needs are, not just from the point of payments, but when it comes to, like, what are they doing from the API layers and so on? Like, does this connect to this particular app? So on and so forth. But to Web3, enterprise standard for building on blockchain. Again, standards, blockchain, it's like an assembly line. That's the point I'm trying to get across. Now, a little bit more about this. I'm going to get to the juicy part because I know you guys are wanting that Swift stuff, but I want to make a solid outline for you guys. So let's jump over to this part, and you will see also here, let's go ahead and full screen this, behind the scenes at EBA Day. What's it say? Here is Gilbert Veridian being interviewed by Finaxtra. Again, beginning of the outline, talking about Finaxtra, TV about their work on the RLN. Because some people in the past were like, oh, Quant's not part of the RLN. Yeah, been there, done that, guys. And programmable payments. Again, programmable payments. Through what? The Overledger. Look out for the video. Okay, so let's get into that video. I have the video. It's just real quick. And basically, we're going to pull that up here in a second. Actually, that part is about 10 seconds, so I won't get into it. And it's actually kind of hard to hear. But I will have other parts that are also as good. So I'm just going to show just a few brief pictures. You can see here that this literally just happened. This was posted obviously June 18th, which is literally today. So this is fresh Quant news for you. You guys know me. I try not to do some things that are time sensitive because I'm more of a research guy. But, you know, I saw this and I was like, great timing. I want to share this because there's a lot of fear going on with Quant. All right. So, you know, you see Gilbert. You see this interview here, obviously, with this gentleman. And, you know, of course, it all happened. Obviously can't hear it, it's just kind of static, but I just want to share that. I'm going to get into the next part. I want to share some significance in regards to this, because it is a big deal. So, there was this thing at this agenda for EBA Day. I want to share not all of these, but one in particular that Quant Pop and I decided to put emphasis on. So it's going to be Ethereum. Focus your attention on Ethereum. Why is that? Well, let's get into that for just a brief moment. Ethereum was one of the ones that presented themselves and pitched their product to a panel of judges and delegates. All right, think about that for a second, okay? Why is that? All right, well, Max is going to give you a little explanation here in a bit, but I want to share with you what happened at EBA Day 2024. And again, it's not just today, it's happening as we speak, and it will conclude tomorrow. It's the Lisbon Congress. Again, Lisbon's the capital of Portugal. But I want you to understand this, and I'm going to highlight it right now. Orchestrating the dialogue on payments, okay? Guys, if you're really paying attention, your key word tonight should be orchestrating. Please do not forget some of these key terms. It's crucial for your understanding of the bigger picture. And I will connect all these particular terms tonight for you to really, truly understand how huge and massive this news is. I'm not just saying, oh, it's massive because it's, you know, some people say, you just say it's massive because it's clickbait. Hey, guess what? This is really, truly massive because guess what? You can buy QNT, and again, not financial advice, but this is what I'm doing. I talked to Will Fix earlier, some of my other friends and so on. This is what we're doing. We recognize that QNT is on sale. Yeah, it could go down to 40 bucks, but my God, when you see this outline a little bit more, you're going to understand how huge this is, and especially when it comes to the language, right, written verbatim from the Swift site. It will blow your mind away, okay? Yes, Swift updated their website. Action, reaction, and we're going to get into that here in a bit. I'm telling you flat out, like this program, share it with people. You'll be so glad that you did, and especially if you understand the bigger picture for Quant. If you don't, that's okay. I do welcome you. May learn something. All right, we're going to blow this up a little bit more. Check this out as well. So orchestrating the dialogue on payments, a collaborative advantage. Collaboration, like with who? Who are some of the speakers? Who are some of the sponsors and so on, right? So we're going to get into all of this, but again, I want you guys to see this, the themes. So remember how we talk about, like, even with us when it comes to, you know, Crypto X and so on, we talk about, you know, what are the whales doing? Watch Your Guru, whether you like Watch Your Guru or not. Sometimes Watch Your Guru can be kind of hit or miss. Let's just be honest about that. But Watch Your Guru always points out things like, this is what the whales are doing. Or there's, like, you know, that one particular one on X, there's many different sources to watch whale activity. What about institutional whale activity? Picture this for a second. Blue whales. That's what I want you to picture. Blue whales coming together in schools of whales. And where are they meeting? They met up freaking here. Hear me out on this. They met up here. My God. I know I sound hyped. I'm so excited about this because I love covering Quant and I understand the bigger picture. So you want to talk about, like, instead of going to, like, you know, us going to like a blockchain conference, or going to like a gaming convention or going to Comic-Con. This is like freaking like Comic-Con, right? But for like institutional whales, and you know, that's what you need to picture here. All right, so getting into this, look at the themes. Next generation banking. Banking as a service. You know, like JASMY, we talk about software as a service. Banking as a service. All these things is Quant. And if you don't believe me, we're going to get more into it. And you can always go check in older deep dives if you're new to this channel. Okay? Fintech collaboration. I'm going to show you some screenshots about that, why that's important. Cross-border payments and correspondent banking. Open banking. Embedded finance. I mean, lots of stuff. Back to the whole thing about trans liquidity. I'm not getting all that. But trends in payments, technology, and innovation. And of course, I'm going to give you a timeline in regards to European payments regulation here pretty much soon. And bottom line is this. On my last deep dive, I did reference this from the PDF. This is from that Quant lawyer. Remember, she's a patent lawyer. But look at this. This is a different section that I don't know if I highlighted last time, but I wanted to put some emphasis on this. So I like this statement. What is Quant's main mission, and how are you leveraging IP to achieve this? IP. You know, our main mission is to make blockchain simple, accessible to all. Our products are designed to do that. And obtaining patents for those products is part of our overall mission. We have developed a truly innovative product. We want to protect it from others in the market. Think about that. Everybody's like, oh, this, you know, Quant is just doing the same thing that Chainlink can do. Give me a break. And that's not creating FUD. I own Chainlink as well, but there's a lot of division when it comes to that. Now, let's talk about some of the fintechs. Here we have a perfect example of all, you know, fintechs literally meeting at EBA Day, which was today. Let's zoom in about this for a second. All right, let's talk about this as I have it zoomed in. So they're there. Pay attention to these two guys. They're on their phones. Yeah, you really think this guy's like, yeah, man, check out what this guy's saying on YouTube. Q&T's a garbage token. Yeah, worst investment I made. No. They could give a crap about what retail thinks. They attend this. They're trying to understand also a little bit more about how all this is connected. Like it says on the presentation, excuse me, design for extreme performance. What is design for extreme performance? Is he citing like M10, 1 million TPS plus for institutions? Scalability could very well be, but again, far right of the screen says what? EBA Day FinTech Zone. So again, all these ones meeting from different fintechs. Even at the podium, Finextra, right? Getting more into this. Remember I just talked about, let's jump back to this. I talked about these guys. I was going to introduce this, Ethereum. Ethereum will be doing what? Presenting themselves and their product to panel judges, delegates, open for all to attend. As we go back to this citation, you will see in Ethereum, what do they state? You might not even know about some of these people, and that's okay. But Ethereum is a technology company reinventing financial crime prevention And the reason why I'm going to share this with you, because this is huge. It says JetScan and JetFlow are watching screen APIs for counterparties and transactions. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't know who that is. Who cares? You should care, because they are followed by Quant, and even though they don't have a big following on X, again, that's not the point. The point is, they were at Lisbon's event today for EBA Day. You have this guy named Pascal Ahrens. He's the co-founder and CPO. And basically, you will see that he pitched their scalable payment screening API in front of a demanding panel of experts and senior executives from global banks. Who does their infrastructure? Who does like APIs, as you can see here, everything on the back end? It's Quant Network. Okay, and let me show that for a second. So this loads up. I'm pretty sure that's big enough. We showed that screen before. Yeah, that's big enough. Let's get into the next one. Look who's in the background. Freaking Jamie Dimon. That's not Jamie Dimon. I'm talking about the screen from JP Morgan. Always talking out like both sides of his mouth. Always saying, oh, I'm not going to buy this. You know, blockchain's a bunch of BS and all this stuff, right? But, you know, it calls crypto, maybe not blockchain, right? But that's in the background. So you got Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, Accenture, Benfico, FIS, MasterCard, obviously, Intercope. And even go to the next screen. Look what it says for a second. Designed for extreme performance throughput, 68,000 TPS, 244 million per hour. But in reality, again, through M10, that does a million plus. Okay, so this it's just again like what they got going on from Ethereum. Okay, awesome, 68,000 TPS just with your own product. And you even have Quant on the back end layer. Look at this for a second. Unique features, high efficiency. I mean, it's all there. Zero footprint, excuse me. And getting more into this, you know, is more from this event. So I'm just giving you an example that it doesn't, again, back to, if you're just tuning in, back to what? This picture. Oh, I don't see the Quant logo. It doesn't say Quant anywhere. Again, that's how most retail people that have done the research, they don't quite get that, and that's okay. And if you don't get it too, it's all right, but we can all learn some. Now, we did talk about fraud, right? We did talk about all this stuff. So again, get it back in your head for a second. I don't mean that bad way. The Ethereum team excited about this, and again, what it also showed on the previous screen, it stated all that stuff about fraud prevention, right? Plain as day fraud and preventing that. All right, look at this for a second. Here's a screenshot. What is the biggest challenge to IP adoption? And we're going to get more into mass adoption here in a bit. On a poll, it's fraud / KYC and AML. A whopping 48%. Other people say, of course, it's regulations. This is the infrastructure. But if you even think about it, Quant hits all these areas, right? So, of course, this company, who's referred to as Ethereum, it would make sense that they would choose Quant for this, right? So I'm just sharing this as well. And then now jumping into this, what process does Quant use to capture IP? We are a small and relatively new company, so we are still setting processes in place. I work pretty hard, as all the leaders within Quant have, to make sure we are really clear with the engineers about the value of their IP. We aim to foster the environment where individuals recognize the value of the creations. Okay? Check this out. These are recent screenshots from today. Excuse me. Closing the session, Gilbert Verdian has a clear message for European commercial banks. Look at this, guys. This is good stuff. What does he say? Time is running out, and we're going to get into this timeline soon. Come and talk to us at stand 36 to learn how to seize the lead. We've worked on the digital pound. Yes, digital pound. Some people still feel as though they don't. I don't know why. And even the regulated liability network, the RLN. We are here to help. He has a breakdown, and we're going to zoom in more about what you see on that picture, because I know some of you guys want to see that. All right, so we're going to get into that in a bit as well. But again, this is all of the reports for the most part from today. I'm not gonna do a 3-hour deep dive with you guys, but it states here, and I'll play the video here in a second, and it's not super loud, so you might need to tune in a little bit more. I have it on a full blast, but you will see straight from official Quant Network the closing session. Like it says, closing the session, Gilbert Verdian has a clear message for European commercial banks. Like I said, time is running out, and I want to play this. And try to hear it. I mean, I wish I could do an amp on StreamYard. I can't, but you should be able to kind of get the gist of it. It's 1 minute long. Smash the like. Let's listen to this. Here we go.
Corporates, especially multinational corporates, are coming to you and saying, I want the functionality of a stable coin like a USDC, for example, because I like to use my app and do things, and I'm used to that journey, I'm used to that experience. Can you offer that for my corporates? If you can't, I will go and use USDC. So there's a risk of losing customers to new entrants into the market, and if banks don't innovate, then those customers will use something that's been proven and already exists. And we're seeing a lot of those discussions with a lot of multinational corporates. But to integrate this into banks, having been worked in banking previously, as David said, it is very difficult, but the time is running out. CBDCs will come. They will be forced to be integrated into your environments. So you're better off starting today rather than waiting for a mandate for you to do it. So corporate, especially.
You hear what he said? Waiting for a mandate to come. I mean, he's literally telling us, I mean, maybe, for the most part, he's speaking to fintechs, institutions, and so on. But, I mean, I interpret it, maybe you interpret it as well, like he's literally telling all of us, time is running out. Why would you want to wait for the mandate? Right, just kind of like the people that got into BTC last, height of the last bull market, 11/11/2021, when BTC hit 69K per BTC. So many people are like, oh, I'm going to jump in now because it says 69K. Okay, you had to wait. If you didn't sell, you had to wait all that time until recently when we saw it go to what, 76, 78K. I can't remember the exact amount, but in that range to see any type of profit. And what if you're the type of guy in which you only own a sliver? And what if you didn't own any particular altcoins? Right, exactly. So he's literally telling you about the mandate, and we've talked about this mandate before. The mandate basically is the whole thing of that, flip of the switch moment that people were talking about. For example, like ISO 222 full mandate November 2025, right? And some people feel as though that's a real true flip of the switch. Do I know 100% sure? Well, of course not. But again, with the research, it seems like I'd be leading I would believe that is going to be the case. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day, and I've been reading a lot of information. But anyway, we're going to get a little bit more into this. It is crucial to understand what he's talking about, the key terms, such as orchestrating, such as mandate, all that good stuff. So we're going to get into that here as well. Let's jump over to the next part. So that was cool to hear him in an actual interview, at least in my opinion. And basically speaking, he gets more into this, and it's not just him. Okay, I want to point that out. It's not just him. So back to this guy who's Dave GPT Premium Edition Birch, right? David Birch. He's from Forbes. Let's also share this on the screen as well. Okay, so I'll take off that branding for a bit. And he states he is looking forward basically to today, EBA day. Why is that? Well, when we go more into it, you will see just a little bit of background. Hold on, let's blow this up for a second. Like it says, challenges and benefits of CBDCs, tokenized deposits, and stablecoin adoption. Stablecoin adoption. Now, I'm fully aware of the recent news about Tether and being backed by gold now, and so on. We're going to get into that. We're going to tie in all of that as well. But I want to point out this before we share more about this particular gentleman, and that is, again, the challenges and benefits of CBDCs, tokenized deposits. Again, don't forget about tokenized deposits. Don't forget about stablecoin adoption. You see some big players here. David Cunningham from Citi. Did so many outlines in regards to the city connection with Quant. Did so many outlines in regards to Deutsche Bank and Quant. Nexi Group, like, oh my gosh, I even on an old channel, like probably 4, 5, 6 of those at least. Gilbert Verdian's a course there. HSBC is a course there. Right? So I gotta give credit where credit's due, and I gotta share that. Now back to this guy who was excited. He is, of course, David G.W. Birch, and look at what it says: contributor to FinTech, an internationally recognized thought leader. Think about this for a second. This guy's a big deal, okay? In the digital identity and digital money, and he was named one of the global top 15 favorite sources of business information by Wired Magazine. They are, of course, ranked as one of the top 10 most influential voices in banking by Financial Brand. He created one of the top 25, hold on, I'm zooming in a little bit more if you can see a little bit better, must-read financial IT blogs, and identified by PR Daily as one of the top 10 Twitter accounts, followed by who? Innovators, alongside Bill Gates and, of course, Richard Branson. Those are big names. Big, big names. Jumping more into this, I want you to see here is this. Jump to that. Here's a response to this guy who was on the previous one. I'm so sorry. Now let's go back to here. So, David Cunningham of Citi. Now let's jump back over to here. And he's the guy second from the left, just in case you can't see it like from your couch or wherever you're viewing it from. So second from top left from Citi. Let's jump over here from Quant Network. They just posted this like a few hours ago. So it says, in response to Cunningham's call for action, Gilbert Verdian agrees to do what? Well, states that he agrees now is the time, like we said before, for commercial banks to seize the lead in digital money. Now, this is a different particular one. It may seem like it's the same from the other one. It's not. These are all chopped up. 1 minute, 4 seconds. Listen to this. Hopefully it's loud enough for you to hear it. If not, you might, sorry, I have max volume. You can blame Quant for it not being loud enough. But listen to GV. Here we go.
Fragmentation. The system is already fragmented, so it doesn't make sense to make even more fragmentation, because that's going to make payments even more complex. DLT versus retail versus wholesale, all that will be extremely complex. So that needs solving, and we're seeing that happen with projects. But the other driver for industry is CBDCs are coming. Banks will have to be ready for CBDCs by the end of the decade. Most of the central banks have said by 2030 they will issue a CBDC. So the best way to tackle that and prepare for that is for banks to innovate rather than wait for the central bank to lose patience and then mandate a CBDC on banks. It makes sense for banks to innovate today, build the infrastructure, work with fellow counterparties, and create the infrastructure for CBDCs together. And that way, for the first time, you have a say, you have a seat at the table. You're not there receiving a mandate and then you have to react to it. So it's a very proactive thing to do. And I think that's what is driving a lot of the innovation today, to not be in that situation.
Once again, think about what he said, the mandate. And given, like, the central banks and the, some of these institutions and so on, the opportunity basically to what? To invest now. Well, if he's telling them to invest now, then why aren't we investing now, right? I mean, that simply makes sense. Well, I don't want to invest in that. It's at $74, $76. It's going to keep going down in price. Okay, so buy it all up when it's thousands of dollars. That seems like not a good plan, in my opinion. Okay, we can agree to disagree. So you heard him literally mention some key things: mandates. We're running out of time, things like that, right? Now, I get it for somebody just walking in right now, or you fast forward this point. I mean, I say walking in right now because it's from the live, and we'll chop it up on the recorded later. You hear 2030. Stop with that retail way of thinking. You got to understand, Quant is so much bigger than even just like this whole thing with CBDCs and so on. Like, when we talk about APIs and like literally the whole plumbing and all the things, just again back to that visual, like what's underneath, and I'll share it one more time just in case people just tuned in. You got to understand it's there's a bigger picture, right? And seeing how that comes to life. Again, one more time. I don't want people to forget this, all right? Because people just don't see it. I don't see the Quant logo. It doesn't say Quant anywhere, right? but it's underneath everything. It's kind of like hidden, but it's the the foundation for building on blockchain. Don't ever forget that. All right, I'm gonna come back into this other thing because we got to get more into this, right? So understand once again, like I said, the bigger picture. So this is now getting into the juicy part. Let's go ahead and share this. This is the moment you've been waiting for the most part, okay? We talked about what you see in the thumbnail. You saw on the thumbnail. Swift. This is an update from Swift, okay? In fact, you may be wondering how long ago, all right? May 31st. Well, Max, today's the 18th. Again, understanding alignment, orchestration, the key words that I'm giving to you for this outline. It's crucial that you understand the terminologies and so on. So again, Swift comes out with this, and it's been absolutely gangbusters since then. Recent news with what happened with House Democrats, right? Being introduced from Nadine Shakar and Mr. Rodrigo, right, from Securitize, pitching the importance of why we need to have proper regulations because they already see what's happening. Tokenized deposits, tokenization of anything and everything, but more in particularly, private equity, real world assets, right? That's all in alignment. Who is the orchestrator behind it all? Say what you want. It is Gilbert Verdian, okay? But this is from Swift. And again, back to that picture that I showed you before, and I'm not going to share it again. I want you to understand things will not say Quant. Or will they? Smash the like for this. Because I'm telling you flat out, you may think you get worn out with me saying stuff like that. But this is got to be up there with the research. Okay? So, Swift site, plain as day. No, I'm not talking about Swift blockchain. There's no knock on Swift blockchain. This is actual Swift, like, the one from the 70s to the present. That does these, the cross-border handling of, let's be honest, I mean, moving tons of money, trillions of dollars from point A country to point B country. I mean, most people, even if they don't know about blockchain, know about Swift. Let's be honest about that. All right, so I got some highlights. Let's get into some of these highlights. All right. Harmonizing instant payments, I should say, for a global payments ecosystem. Posted May 31st, as in this year. That's not 2023, that's this year. That's like like a few weeks ago, basically. Like, what is today? The 18th, right? So yeah, literally a few weeks ago. Harmonized standards, don't forget that term, standards. So harmonized standards are essential for integrating domestic instant payment systems. Don't forget that as well. Instant payment system into a global payments ecosystem, ensuring faster, cheaper, and transparent cross-border transactions. Swift's Mike Truter, Director of Market Infrastructure, Communities, and Standards Service, explains. And of course, we're not going to get to all of this because we'll be here too long. But I know there's some Chainlink people here. I own Chainlink. You're going to think, well, I don't need to hear any more about Quant, Max. I mean, maybe you're not the type of guy, you're more for Chainlink and not Quant because you see literally, Chainlink and, for example, Swift. And you think to yourself, I'm just going to go with that. And that's it. But understand, I understand that Chainlink is it's a lot more than oracles, and they're the king of oracles, don't get me wrong. But what about Quant? Like, you have way more than just, like I mentioned, like CBDCs and so on, right? Don't forget that, because, again, while both our assets are great to have, we are talking about Quant tonight. So, I'm going to full screen this again a little bit more. Going to go further down. Jump to the next part. It says, while great progress has been made, okay, there's an exciting opportunity to further enhance our efforts, creating harmonized standards to enable interoperability across these domestic instant payment systems. Achieving this will reduce friction and pave the way for a truly interoperable global payments ecosystem. Now, another key word, friction. Remember what Gilbert Verdian said? Did we forget that? You might not have caught that. Gilbert Verdian, at the end of that last video clip, what did he mention? Friction. Fragments. Is that all I got? No, it's not. Listen a little bit more about this. Pave the way for a truly interoperable global payments ecosystem. Look at this quote from Mike Truder. Hopefully I pronounced that right. With different domestic instant payment systems proliferating, harmonized standards are crucial for a global payments ecosystem. Is there any more about this? Yes. Look at this. I will go up a little bit more. Yeah, this is good. This is real good. So he goes on to mention achieving this for instant payments, domestic at least, for each domestic market infrastructure, it's got to support its own local practices with unique, look at this, guys, message standards. Okay? I have stated numerous times, I'm not the only one. I would never take full credit on anything. I don't like people stroking their ego like that, just to be honest, but it is what it is. I know people do that. But I will point out how crucial it is to understand the terminology, is how it's so crucial to understand the research that we have done. I post this stuff on X. I said, come join our community of research, blockchain, and, research enthusiasts. We are enthused about this because, we're sick of the, if you're doing the 9 to 5 or punching a clock or whatever the case be. Like, is this our second chance at BTC? Yes, this is our second chance at BTC, but it's so much greater than BTC could ever even imagine. Okay? Why? ISO TC 307, the Quant network standard. I've said so many times, not just me, complimenting ISO 222. You hear Gilbert Verdian literally talk about how there's going to be a mandate. But how about having a standard that will complement it and it all works together? People have stated, Quant is both ISO 222 and it's also part of, its own standard, ISO TC 307. In reality, it's not ISO 222. It is, of course, ISO TC 307. But it works with that. Why is that? You need to look at the bigger picture. When we talk about HBAR or some of these other ones are tied to ISO 222, I'm literally looking at it from the perspective, and those are great. Like, all these ones are awesome. I'm looking at it from the perspective, they all have their role, as we know. Picture a acquirer of all these tokens, or coins, depending, obviously Hedera is a coin, if we're going to be technical. But Gilbert Verdian, for example, sitting there is the orchestrator, all right? And making all these in alignment. They all have their role. So it is fair to say that he is being that, that conductor, if you will. And we're going to get really into some of this stuff. You may think, oh, man, you're just trying to make it sound cool. It is cool, though. Because when you go to the site and you see the same language, the same terminology, it is more than a coincidence. And I will give you a little bit more of the aha moments here in a bit. So look at this for a second. Different domestic instant payment systems. I went too far down, sorry. Unique messaging standards. Working together to align these standards. Again, alignment. We can enhance interoperability, create more cohesive global market. Back to the part of proliferating harmonized standards and how it's crucial for global payment ecosystem. Because again, remember all those fintechs talking about that global payment ecosystem? Remember how we talked about that one particular company referred to, let me see my notes again. Yeah, this one. Ethereum, talking about that as well. Yeah, exactly. Going more down into this. Let's talk about this because I did mention ISO 222. Did I not? I did. So on this part, to help ensure, and again, guys, go to swift.com if you don't believe me. To help ensure a common rollout and implementation of ISO 222, Swift worked with the global payments industry to do what? Define a set of harmonized usage rules for cross-border payment messaging called Cross-Border Payment and Reporting Plus, which is CBPR Plus. These usage rules, define all key elements necessary for cross-border payment along with how to use them. More about ISO 222. Look at this for a second. But despite all this, market infrastructure still need to align their domestic ISO 222 message usage guidelines to ensure end-to-end integrity of payment messages between jurisdictions. Again, back to what Verdian was saying. If you think about it, if you have researched this, you will know that that's the mandate. You know, it is all in alignment. He has the infrastructure with the overledger. They got the whole thing going on with Project Enbridge. And by the way, we will get more into this. So the rumor is that Project Enbridge, what was it? That it's a bad rumor. It's a little bit of fake news, but in reality, it's kind of somewhat true. The new thing is people are spreading all this FUD or all this news about Saudi Arabia is getting off the petrodollar, or going off the U.S. dollar, basically. Excuse me. And they basically are going to do what? They're going to use Chinese yuan. They're going to use for example, rubles. They're going to use all sorts of other things other than the U.S. dollar. Well, we find out that's not necessarily true. It's just that the U.S. dollar won't be the only one, right? But in a statement, it mentions them going with Enbridge. And I got to validate that a little bit more. But what is connected to Enbridge? Right, Bank of International Settlements, Bank of England, Quant Network. So it's like, wouldn't that create a lot of demand for your QNT? Yeah, absolutely it would. Now, some people will say, well, it's not right now. Is that all put into motion yet? Do we have that mandate yet? Is that utility in motion yet? No. Like Gilbert Verdian mentioned, he's given everybody, the institutions, the opportunity to come in at like the ground floor, to a sense. Not exactly, right? Ground floor would have been a few years ago when it was pennies or like $1, right? But even then, he had to prove himself. Or they, as in Quant Network, had to prove themselves. That's the point you should take away from it. Because if he had to prove it to them, why aren't we on board with that as far as from an investment point of view, right? So coming back into this, you will see more about harmonization, standards, and so on. But the point is, ISO 222, the alignment, that need for that alignment of domestic ISO 222 usage guidelines to ensure end-to-end integrity of payment messages between jurisdictions. In other words, there must be harmonization, of course, of standards. Again, Quant Network, the orchestrator, Gilbert Verdian, the conductor. To address this challenge, an industry body called High Value Payments, which is HVPS Plus working group, was established. More about this for a second. Look at this. Harmonized messaging standards hold the key. How so? There's a drive to make domestic instant payment systems work in cross-border contexts. Make it like, for example, the whole thing of a last mile delivery of international payments faster, cheaper, and more accessible and transparent. Right. Swift is not going to, Swift will no longer be able to just do it the old way. And hence why, it's the coins and the tokens that are tied into this. And I'm going to show you an actual screenshot where they literally mention coin. Because I'm always with you guys. Like, I try to put myself in your guys' shoes to understand this stuff. So, in alignment with the G20 roadmap, this cannot be achieved without ensuring alignment with cross-border messaging standards and other instant payment systems. Right, absolutely. Look at this for a second. Do you guys want some good news? Do you want to hear... Yeah, everybody wants good news, right? So, a little bit more about the thing about the mandate... And this is above here. It says, like any inbound cross-border payment into a cross-border enabled instant payment system, it will likely suffer from data truncation. Does anybody remember me talking about this for the longest time? I said for a good 2 years that I know of, since summer 2022, I've used the word truncation multiple times because it's a real thing. How do I know that? Because even back in the days when I was playing Medal of Honor Allied Assault with my buddy Will Fix, and if you're watching, Will, shout out to you, brother. You rock, man. All right? You load up a log file. That log file gets so big. Guess what happens when that log file gets too big? Everything in that log file truncates. All right? Let's apply that to, for example, Swift. You ever wonder why things move so slow? Huh. Because you're moving trillions of dollars of money cross-border. Add up all those zeros. You may think, well, it's just that. Okay. Stop looking at it from just the perspective of the numerical thing on the screen or in the log file. Now, like my old example, Bank of Greece sending $10 trillion to, or the other way around, you know, Bank of Seoul sending all that money to Bank of Greece. Okay? Different language. What language? Korean characters. To what? Like how fraternities do. Alpha, you know, I'm part of Alpha Beta Kappa, right? And it's like, that looks different. It's not all in English, so it gets truncated. Gets lost in translation. Then, picture this. Payment stops. I got to call this guy on the phone from, you know, that central bank. Oh, they're not open right now because of the time difference. Then you have to have guys that, you know, are up late, and then you got to get the job, and it's just a big mess. That's not things flowing at super fast speeds, right? Blockchain with modern tech solves that, okay? How do we harmonize that? How do we stop data truncation? So look at this for a second. Let's learn something here. Look at this. So all this will likely suffer from data truncation. Of course, you know, with the old messaging system, the MT messaging system with Swift, that's going to result in the inability to complete compliance process, such as mandatory sanction screening. Think about that. Remember how Gilbert Verdian was talking about the mandate? So the good news is that 68% of instant payment systems are designed to be ISO 222 native, but they still need to harmonize their usage. Guidelines, real-time gross settlements, that's what RTGS stands for if you're new, are already doing this, and the payments industry must now, just like what Gilbert Verdian was talking about, work towards achieving harmonization across the instant payments communities too. Now, I'm not going to give you the whole history about back in 2020 and so on. I'm going to get into the next part, and you're going to love this next part, because this is going to pound it freaking home. And if anything, I don't know. I mean, you know, if you want to share your appreciation, that's cool. I'm so blessed and thankful that you guys are here. I'm rooting for everybody's success. This whole, even if it was a person that was from a coin I don't cover, I'm not going to be like, oh, you don't root for our coin, to heck with you. I'm rooting for everybody's success, because you want to know something? We have worked hard to get to the promised land, right? Look at this for a second. You'd be so glad that you saw what is being presented tonight. So let's jump to this next one. This is from Indeed, or not Indeed. I always get these confused. LinkedIn, because it says IN, I think of Indeed, right? All right, so let's pull this up as well. Here we go. How we talked about harmonization. Don't forget the key word, harmonization. So you don't, like I said, this is from Quant. They posted this. You don't often hear banks crying out for more regulation. Think about this, guys. This is, again, an alignment. So you don't hear them crying out for more regulation, but when it comes to digital assets, that's what we heard them ask for at Sibos. By adopting, isn't this beautiful, guys? A harmonized approach that provides certainty to institutions and investors alike, Europe is leading the way with MiCA, or MiCA. Shout out to Rue Black, because he mentioned that it's called MiCA, so I apologize. Says Gilbert Verdian. Okay, with MiCA. Interesting. Because of all the recent news, and there's news in regards to Uphold, and as you guys know, I mine Caspa, so does Will Fix. And, you know, we have it, of course, deposited to Uphold, but there was news about that being in compliance with MiCA. Yeah, I'm going to share that at the end of the outline. Here's another example that I want to get into that, you know, is really crucial to understand when it comes to harmonization. Here's another one. This is Gilbert Verdian. Very much enjoyed the INATBA, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications. What does he mention? He mentions specifically this whole thing about interoperability, the work of standards. Developing organizations are going to do what, guys? Harmonize and standardize blockchain tech. Now, I get it. Some people may still not see the light, and they're like, oh, that's just a giant, you know, coincidence. And I'd be with you for the most part. But then I get to the part of this citation. Let's take you to this. And this is from cryptoseq.medium.com/quant-networks if you're wanting to nerd it out. Because let's be honest, there's some people that do. Hold on, give me just a second. So basically, it talks about the Accord project. What is that? Well, the Accord project is unique, but it's important. They are what? They got this whole thing with Quant Network. So it says Quant Network in the past joined the Accord project and basically providing the tech with overledger and treaty contracts. This is where lately, and I pointed this out in one of my last videos, that you're now seeing a lot of talk of like Quant Network, and you're also seeing a lot of talk of like even XDC part of the mix. Think about it. When we talked about the Electronic Trades Documents Act becoming law, well, also citating what? The treaties that are involved with when it comes to trade. This is why I also point out for people that when we talk about trade, you can no longer look at trade as just, you know, the stereotypical thing that a lot of people do, which is just XDC, you know, VeChain, and Morpheus Network. And then as of recently, we even threw JASMY into that mix, right? But Quant sits at the table because, again, as the saying goes, they are the table. Look at this for a second. This is also good stuff. Quant Network joined this. Accord Project is the organization for the development of techno-legal standards for legal contracts and distributed ledger applications in the legal industry. The project incubates the standard contracting protocol for the legal industry. Accord Project protocol is blockchain agnostic. So is Quant. The purpose of this project is to enable lawyers, law firms, and trade associations and corporates to establish or help establish open standards for future of contracting and produce open source code for smart legal contracts and distributed ledger usage in the legal industry. Project itself, this project operates in collaboration with IEEE, and this is why I point out the whole thing with JASMY in the past, the International Association for Contract and Commercial Management, Hyperledger, even R3. And guys, this was 2 or 3 years ago. This aged well, did it not? It absolutely did, because guess what? We have all this now. Confirmation. So, Decentralized Identities Foundation and a number of leading trade associations in regards to all these standards, the law firms, and so on. Look who sits on this with the tech that are all, you know, together. Well, obviously Quant. You have, for example, IBM, R3. Wow. How about some more? Look at this, IEEE. Interesting. More than interesting. How about these other ones in regards to the law firms? Let's get more into this, you know, some familiar names. Some of you guys are familiar with it, some of you are not, and that's okay. Going more further down into this, what about finance sectors and so on? Standard Charter, Future Law Innovation Program. Very, very interesting. All right. Before we get close to wrapping this up, I want to take you also a little bit more to here because I want you to pound it home a little bit more. Look how well this aged. Let's look at this because, you know, there's a lot of FUD when it comes to Quant lately, and it's not justified. This is from Quant at Cybos 2022 PDF, Harmonizing Regulations and Standards. Look what it says. Connecting digital islands, joining up digital currencies and payment systems, with panelists from Accenture, Bank of America, European Central Bank, and even HSBC. Back 2 years ago, they were all looking forward to debate this whole thing, how it all comes together, how will you work with existing payment systems. But like it says, the key thing of bringing in the central banks and the need to ensure interoperability between legacy technology and the new emerging digital currencies. Look at this. This also aged well. Central banks must keep pace to innovate and continuously enhance our monetary stability. Back to what Gilbert Verdine was saying. So back then, it was like, we're going to test some things. We're seeing what's going to do. Now, Verdine has done what? He's literally saying, guess what, guys? You have been warned. From the horse's mouth. From the conductor. Plain as day. You know? Call to action. We already had that call to action, actually, technically speaking. We talked about this before. Having a central bank all-star team, if you will, a central bank marketplace, and have all connected to the RON. And in the last particular video, we talked about what? We talked about even when it came to not just unified ledger, but now having a universal wallet connecting to that. Because at the end of the day, where are we going to put that? Right, it has to be stored somewhere. So interesting how that works out as well. All right, a little bit more about this. Let's go to this part, because this also aged well. Essential components to brew interoperability, and how, you know, ISO 222 came into the mix. But most importantly, look what it says. This is from 2 years ago, and man, again, it aged well. Quite a few new sessions on the new ISO 222 standard to be implemented by the end of the year, and it was. ISO 222 will modernize interbank payments on the SWIFT network with additional data fields, faster transmission speeds, new compatibilities, compliance. But again, boom, that aged really, really well, right? And oh my gosh, how many times I saw people like, no, this is too old research, blah, blah, blah. They don't go through it. And I welcome you guys. I thank you guys for hearing out the bigger picture, understanding the bigger picture. All right, here's another screenshot, recent screenshot. No, I'm not in the frame. It shouldn't be focused on my mug. So look at this. EBA Association, Gilbert Verdin, right? Here's a quote from Zoo. We've done pockets of innovation. We need global standardization and harmonization. That is the key. This lady here, right? Saying that. Huh. Do we have any more? Yes. Here's another example. Remember Mr. Cunningham, who is from Citi? Quote, we have had enough experiments. Right, they're done experimenting. This is done. Pilots and all that stuff, come on. Like he says, literally, come on. It's time to move to reality. We need to be issuing real value and exchanging on it. Right, you guys want the examples of, come on, man, I got to see some utility in motion. Guys, they already did all the testing. Don't you appreciate that? Let me give you an analogy real quick, all right? So, some of you guys are gamers, some of you are not. This is a great analogy. Cyberpunk. I forgot what it was called. Cyberpunk 2027 or something like that, or maybe 2045. I don't know. This is a Cyberpunk game. What was one of the biggest examples, if you're into this, biggest complaints? Rush to market. Okay? Warned by the dev team, don't do it. Please don't do it. But the publisher said, no, we're doing it. We want to make money. Right? So they rushed that product, that game, to market. And boy, was it like, man, bad timing. You don't want to do that. Once you appreciate more things being fine-tuned and tested, we should also apply those particular examples to blockchain. It's just it's a no-brainer, right? You know, if we have video games that, let's face it, in the future are going to be tied into Web3, then you want them to be not just beta tested, like come out with an alpha. Then they have, you know, like a private alpha. Then they have a public alpha. Then you have a private beta. Then you have a open public beta, and then you go from there to an actual release. This is why I want you guys to picture with this, getting to an actual official release. You understand the time frame of how that works. That's not utility in motion, but if anything, you tested the product and the service, and you tested it at scale with the bigger conglomerates, right? That's the point. Let's get into another point. Let's get into this example. This is a good example, and I'll show you. I zoomed in on this one because this is a good one as well. So let's share this. There's a reason why I zoomed in on this particular one. All right. So look what it says, and this is a nice catch. And shout out to Quant Papa for the screenshot. Landscape. Well, I'm gonna just zoom in there, and then I'll zoom in further in. Landscape of different forms of money. Okay. All right. I'm going to zoom in now. It states specifically, and this again, today's event, money, unit of account, medium of exchange, store of value, public, liability of central banks, retail, accessible by anyone, wholesale, accessible by banks, you know, governments. Look what's broken down on that, you know, the branch, if you will. Retail, accessible by anyone, cash, physical, retail CBDC, digital, and project. From wholesale perspective, you know, you have reserves, deposits on, you know, central bank accounts. But again, central bank accounts, wouldn't that have to have a lot of liquidity? Yeah, that's why we talked about that before. Wholesale CBDC, DLT based. But look at this part over here. You have private liability of private issuers, Tokenized deposits, again, back to the beginning of the outline. Look what it also says, stable coins. And there's a lot of talk about what's going on with the stable coins, is there not? E-money, issued by e-money institutions. Two particular things that are being branched off to. So, the claim against e-money institution, and of course, stable coins, DLT based. Again, we're going to get into the whole thing of what's going on with Tether here in a bit. But boom, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to come back in the frame. Let's wake up. Like, I'm from Portland, Oregon. There's a guy named Tom Peterson back in that. You go, wake up. Hey, wake up to a happy day. Let's freaking wake up. You guys have been so hungry for, I mean, I've been with you guys, you know, technically speaking, since 2022, okay? But you guys have been other bull cycles. We are starving for the proof in the pudding of, can you tell me? You know, like Jerry McGuire, help me, help you, show me, Max. Show me where it says crypto coins. Remember how many people would say, I shouldn't even say it. You guys know, I'll state that it starts with a bell and that's it. That particular guy used to say, and I think he still does it in his videos, you want to get all these banking coins and so on, right? No knock on him, all right? He wants to disrespect me, that's fine, all right? But the point is, it's just a difference of opinion, right? But he mentions some of these things. And a lot of those people would not get into these coins and these tokens because, you know, yeah, these are banker coins, and, you know, you don't want to get into some of the stuff because of this reason. It doesn't say the particular crypto. Well, how would you like to literally see a presentation where it says it? Crypto features vary. Private, no liability. Crypto coins. Yeah, you heard me right. Crypto coins. It's literally on your screen from the presentation, zoomed in. Issued by a protocol. And the native coin of the DLT, my God. Freaking, like, give me a mic. I'm going to drop it. This is my back scratcher. Boom, just drop it. Mic drop moment. My goodness. I mean, go back and watch it. If you missed it and you're like, you know, just talking about Carolina pogo sticks with your broskies tonight, or distracted with, you know, Boston Celtics won the championship, or whatever the case be, you know, next day, or you live in the Boston, Massachusetts area, New England states, and you're just like hungover from your party because your team won, or whatever the case be, I'm telling you, I advise you to re-watch the replay, re-watch the chopped up version, whatever the case be. You watch it on an X, you watch it on YouTube. This is your ultimate boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew moment, because finally, it literally says crypto coins. And we never seen examples of this in the past. Never, ever seen those particular examples. We might see, like, somebody else giving an example, like in their doctored up brochure and so on. But this is an event that literally happens, and some people are going to be like, well, it doesn't say Quant. Again, back to this, okay? Picture that once again. I don't see the Quant logo. It doesn't say Quant anywhere. And I'm sorry if that's your voice. If that's your voice, that's no knock on you. I'm just saying, okay? Sometimes I don't know if people really get the bigger picture, and that's no knock on anyone, but I just shake my head when I see that random guy is just like, this is the worst investment of my lifetime. Quant is down tremendously. Okay, when did you buy it? Did you buy it, like, did you overspend? You know, in reality, even if a person came in at like all-time highs on Quant and they held this back to, like, you know, the example of, you know, QNT with the current market cap, QNT price per coin with the current market cap of BTC, and that puts, you know, QNT well over 80K at current market conditions. Wow, right? Understanding what this is all tied to. And I know I'm elaborating a little bit longer than I wanted to originally. I said I didn't want to make this too long. It's just natural for me to get into this. But I did think this was a really, really big deal. And I do have some more examples, and I do want to get into this because I do feel as though it is crucial, more than crucial, to understand, like I said, the bigger picture when it comes to all of this, okay? So we're going to jump over to this. And for example, you're going to see, yeah, this real quick. Let's jump over to this. So let's share this. Back to that screenshot, I should say. My bad. Because, you know, it is a nice screenshot, and it gives you more of that example. So, yeah, back to this, just in case you're tuning in. Literally says crypto coins, and particularly the native coin of the DLT. Right. Quant token. Think about that for a second. Okay? All right. Let's zoom out. And, of course, you see all there. And this is the real thing. You see some of the bigger players, obviously Finaxtra, you know. None of these people in the crowd are literally saying, well, there's this guy on YouTube, and, you know, he didn't do too well with his investment. Now, they could give a crap because they understand the bigger picture, right? Let's jump into another key thing before we wrap this up tonight, okay? I want to explain and show you guys, like, a roadmap, a timeline, because I promised to do this. We're going to jump into this particular part. You know how we talk about data, free flow with trust, and so on? So, on the screenshot, let me come out of the screen for a second. I found an Easter egg. I don't even know if Quant Papa knows about this Easter egg, but that's okay. Okay? Here is the Easter egg. It is right above this lady's head, above EBA Day. You really had to catch it, and I'm glad I did. There was a source. It gives a URL. I've checked. I mean, maybe somebody like Tokenizer probably would catch this, or Nick, or, you know, shout out to our brother Mind Crypto. I'm gonna do a call to action right now. Dang it, right now. And I hope somebody gives a shout out. And it's cool, even if they don't. Every single one of you guys, for real, you love Quant and you love Quant coverage, you go follow Mind Crypto, for real. That guy deserves all the credit in the world. Daily Quant coverage, and that guy has just been grinding it. Also support new people, like our brother Channing. He's back. He's putting out content as well, Channing Harrell. But the point is, especially Mind, you know, I give credit where credit's due. That guy does daily Quant videos. You know how hard that is to do? You know? I'll say it again. Go type in Mind Crypto or type in Mind Crypto QNT. You'd be so glad you did. And he doesn't necessarily do like 2 or 3 hour deep dives, but he does deep dives as well. Give one of these guys a follow. Support those that are part of our communities and so on. You'd be, again, glad you did. He has alpha research, okay? There's so many other people to shout out, but I love giving credit where credit's due. All right, back to the topic I had, okay? So, I'm going to zoom in again. Guys, I'm telling you flat out, this was an Easter egg. How so? The source comes from https flow.db.com/cache and this big old long thing. Okay? Again, I don't know for sure, but I'm leaning towards, like, I don't think anybody caught this. And that's okay. Okay? As we go there, this loads up. And boy, oh boy, there's some things that are revealed. Let's reveal it to everybody. Again, smash the like, share the show. Be glad you did. Look at this. So, let's full screen this, just in case. I don't know if Boomer's watching tonight. Your Boomer F sooner, sitting on his couch with his dog Monica. Try to zoom in as much as I can. It states from this site. All right, and I'm going to go to the top. Cash management, technology, CBDCs in Europe. Retail, wholesale projects to follow. Now, of course, this was back November 2023, but it gets into some key things that definitely want to point out, okay? So, for one, talks about this, see this thing about distribution approach? And we're going to tie in Tether in a bit. Listen to this. This is good stuff. Call it alpha, call it whatever you want. Distribution approach. The whole meaning behind that. And how the central bank would issue their wholesale CBDCs as tokens. Now, don't let this fly past your head at all. And how they distribute on various market blockchains where assets reside. Now, in the thumbnail, I point out how Quant with the overledger is like to assembly line a blockchain. It says this is somewhat similar to stablecoin issuance. Example would be Tether, who issue smart contracts and therefore their tokens on various blockchains. What would be, for example, like the Quant interoperability approach? Well, for the most part, we know that, but it states that this would mean that infrastructure supporting the movement of money on a blockchain or existing payment system platforms are connected to other blockchains where, for example, digital assets such as tokenized securities, there we go again, are issued. Here's your timeline. Please pay attention to this part. You'll miss it. In total, 3 different interoperability solutions may be tested when? In 2024. 2 of them can be labeled trigger solutions. My God. We're always looking for that terminology. Trigger, flip of the switch. That's the writing on the wall for me. All right? Now, does that mean that Quant's going to go parabolic because of that? Of course not. But I'm going to call it, and I could be completely wrong, and that's okay. I'm going to say that at the end of the year, I think we see some decent things going on with Quant by the end of the year. Where it's really at for me is that mandate. ISO 222 going live November 2025. Because let's face it, mandates are more significant than things just going live and then, you know, it's kind of like me and my DPG server, right? You know, I'm DPG Maximus, right? DPG server is in Chicago, Illinois. Does DPG server get a lot of traffic? No, it just kind of sits there. It's plugged in. Again, it's just plugged in. It doesn't really end up doing much. But guess what? What happens when it starts doing much? All right, now multiply that by the whole, like all these servers around the world and so on, right? Apply that to blockchain, right? And have that plugged into what? The financial infrastructures of the world. So this is 2024. It literally says 2024. Will I get into 2025? Yes, I will get into 2025. But listen to this for a second, because we're going to tie this in to all the recent news that's been happening in regards to, you know, what you've seen about Tether and so on. So look at this. We talked about the whole triggering, all right? So 2 of them can be labeled trigger solutions, which can connect to a payment system, target to or tips to a blockchain where tokenized securities are issued. The third solution can allow the Banque de France to connect to its blockchain on which wholesale CBDCs are issued to market distributed ledger technologies. And the key use case for all 3 interoperability solutions is a delivery versus payment transactions to settle the tokenized assets securities. Right. We saw this before. I don't know if this is something you guys forgot, but we talked about some of that DVP. There's a breakdown about how this all works. I don't want to get into that necessarily, but I will get onto the part on the right side because it mentions this. And look at what it says. Wholesale central bank digital currency, which would be a wrapped CBDC. Think about that for a second. Because remember how we talked about settlement? Think about what happens with the current system, like even with Ethereum. Right? You guys hold Ethereum. But what happens when it becomes the ERC20 token? You're going to buy that meme token, guys. You know what happens? It becomes what? It becomes wrapped. Do you understand why Quant is blockchain agnostic? That should be your aha moment. If that goes over your head, that's okay too. That's no knock. I'm just being a realist. So accessibility to a financial and certain like non-bank institutions only, right? Make it accessible. Institutions that already have access to reserve accounts at the RTGS, real-time gross settlement systems of central banks. Now look at this. Blockchain focus. Providing central bank reserves on DLT or connect DLT with existing payment systems is a trigger solution. Should we now, guys, let's just be honest. Should we start referring to this stuff as, instead of flip of the switch, triggers? Like, let's go pull the trigger on this. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't cancel me. Oh, you know, because they're woke and all that. Ugh, don't get me started on that. All right. Interesting with the terminology. How many keywords have we gotten tonight? Harmonization, trigger, mandates, right? Hopefully, you guys are appreciating this coverage. I don't know. All right. So that's the part about trigger solution. How about use cases? potentially cheaper and more frictionless. Back to Gilbert Veridian. Literally, he stated that today at the end of that particular video clip. Back to DVP, tokenized securities, repo trades. How about even PVP for more efficient FX, for example, and on more efficient cross-border payments? Again, Quant will complement it all because it will connect it all. All right? That's crucial to understanding that. Let's jump back to this for a second. There's more about 2024, I believe. All right. Figure 2, retail versus wholesale CBDC. Who is the source? Deutsche Bank. At the end of 2024, are you aware there's a decision that's going to be expected from the governing council of the ECB regarding which, if any, of the solutions for wholesale CBDC, guys? Listen to this. This is good stuff. Let me go back to this. All right. In regards to if these solutions for wholesale CBDC will be introduced into the market. Aha. Because as we know, introducing things to the market, it will be a huge catalyst. And we should see at least a little bit of that. Like, be a little bit of that utility in motion. Not mass scale in motion. This is where I'm stating you will potentially see, finally, some price action. Combine that with an actual regular bull, like we cited from the beginning of the outline when we talked about the Investorplace coverage and citing those charts. That's what I'm talking about, guys. So will that help complement? You better believe it will, because, I mean, these are still altcoins. So testing phase is from April to November 2024. Let me take just a moment to cough outside of the mic. All right. So, again, testing phase, April to November 2024. Well, we're ready into June, right? We're definitely ready into June. It will allow for experiments, simulation only, and pilot transactions where real money is involved. Again, that is, like the guy said, we're beyond that. So are we ready to some of these things in regards to, like what it says to November? I think so. I think this is literally saying, like, this is done. Because, again, this is from the November report. So look at this. ECB... and the National European Central Banks want to understand if blockchain settlement will be supported by the Euro system. It will be up to the market to convince the Euro system that the blockchain tech provides real added value, according to this guy named Klein. I'm going to jump down to, or actually go to the next page. Sorry about that. Let's take it to this. Let's talk about 2025, okay? All right. This is good stuff. Take just a moment. Give me a pause for a second because I'm getting I've been talking too much. I'll chop this up later as well. So, drink some water real quick. My God, a lot to get into tonight, right? This is also crucial to understand. All right, so a little bit more about the timeline. So, look at this. I think I'm at the top part. Yeah. Digital Euro project for retail CBDC. And this is, there's tons of information on it. I just go to the good part that you want to get into. So it talks about this project, mentions specifically cash. Cash is the only central bank liability that can be held and used by private citizens today. Retail CBDC project would make it possible for every end user, for example, every European citizen, to hold a liability of the central bank that can be transferred electronically. The aim of the ECB is to provide legal tender, think about this, in a digital form, stated this guy who's Klein. The ECB will decide in November 2025, wow, back to the alignment of ISO 2022, but yeah, November 2025, whether it will actually issue a digital euro. However, we don't in any case expect to go live before 2028. Now, I got to address that for a second, okay? There is always going to be this one person here is like, oh, Quant won't be used till 2028. I'm just going to dump all my position. It was a garbage token. Come on, that's just in regards to, right, the digital euro. Do you want a little bit more proof in regards to that? Yes. So, look at this for a second. It says, outlining his views on what a potential digital euro could look like. This guy who's Klein, and I apologize not having his first name. I can get to that later. said it would be pre-funded payment solution. This is really going to get good because you're going to hear about PayPal. European citizens will be able to hold digital euros in dedicated wallets up to a carefully analyzed maximum limit. Amounts such as 3,000 euros have been discussed, but there is no decision to date. The digital currency will be held in a wallet. Aha! Remember we talked about, for example, the universal wallet and how it's connected to the RLN. What do we call it? I don't know if you call it RLS. There's so many darn acronyms and abbreviations. It's been a long day. I used to be spot on and be able to have that for you. But anyway, give me the benefit of the doubt too. I'm human. But it will be provided to an intermediary. Who is that intermediary, guys? Think about it. Now, I did a 2-part video. I don't know if you guys remember this. It shows, and I'll put it at the very end of this video for the chopped up video, or the chopped up version. Shows Gilbert Verdian and it shows Augustine Carstens, and it literally says at the very top intermediary, and then it even shows like things like R3, and so it's good to understand those things. So boom, that in itself. In other words, bank payment service provider. Klein continued. Who would be that bank service provider? Again, Quant with the overledger. We're talking about the Microsoft of blockchain. See how it all comes together? Now look at this as well. All right. So there's going to be funding for this. We've already been there, done that. Let's get to the part of like literally mentioning PayPal. Now, again, on my future thumbnail, which will be the next few days, you'll see like QNT, Swift. I did this even with Stellar. I said that. So with Stellar, do we have an example like, what do I call it? Stellar XLM or XLM AI. A global Venmo. Should we say that Quant is more than just a PayPal, right? Yeah, absolutely. But this is a good example. Like, we're not going to complain if it's one of the utility layers for Web3, right? Like a better PayPal. That's where I'm getting with this. So this is similar to how most people use PayPal today. The majority of users don't pre-fund their accounts. Listen to this. This is really good. They use a direct debit or a credit card to top up the wallet, and when needed, that will happen. The reverse will also be true. Every euro that is received in a digital euro wallet that already holds the maximum amount possible will be defunded back to the client's commercial bank account. This means that individuals will only be able to hold the predefined limit in their wallets at any time. And there's the guy. Like it says, we don't expect a digital euro to go live before 2028. But what about the digital pound? Yeah, I'm with you guys. So, okay, that guy's name is Manuel Klein, or Manuel, could be pronounced that way. Product manager, blockchain solutions, and digital currencies from the Deutsche Bank. Extremely interesting. Going to the next part. Let's fast forward to, for example, 2028. Okay, let's share this. By the way, smash the like. Does trigger the algorithm. I do appreciate you guys staying the course on this one, on this deep dive. This is good. All right. So we talked about 2024, 2025. Now we're at 2028. Look at this again from flow.db. Digital Euro project for retail CBDC. Cash, like it says, the only central bank liability that can be held and used by private citizens today. Retail CBDC project would make it possible for every end user, every bank, European citizen to hold that. And basically, I maybe already mentioned this, but the aim of the ECB is to provide legal tender in digital form. And ECB will decide in November 25. I did read that, my bad. However, we don't in any case expect to go live before 2028. So again, understanding that is something, and I will chop up that part. Sorry about that. So I was kind of reiterating that, right? So, but you get the idea. It's a timeline from all that, and yeah, actually, this is the part I meant to get to. Wholesale CBDC. Like I said, what's next? What would be next? Well, it's Banque de France. By the way, Banque de France is your oversight for the Bank of International Settlements. So, in cooperation with Bank of Italy, Bundesbank, and even Banque de France, a separate formed working group focuses on interbank settlement of blockchain-based transactions. It is independent from the digital retail euro project, and most importantly, the euro system has defined 3 different approaches to provide blockchain-based central bank money for wholesale settlement. However, it will at this time only allow trials experiments that fall in the bucket of interoperability approach. All right, I will talk about that for just a brief second. So, yes, you got to understand, for the guys that are new to Quant, they complain that QNT is just an ERC20 token. Okay, I get that. Are you going to settle in QNT, especially if you're some of these banks? Hell no, right? You're not going to freaking use it for ERC20. You're going to settle in what? What would be an RTGS for like XRP and some of these other ones, right? So all of this stuff works together, the orchestration of some of this stuff. And that is what's crucial to understand. All right, now let's jump over to this. This is some of the recent news. Shout out to Mike Cornwell. He shared this one, but I did see some news about this. So, basically speaking, like it says just in, but in reality, this is from yesterday. Tether, the world's largest stablecoin, launches new stablecoin backed by gold. Listen to this for a second, because we did talk about, everything with Quant, stablecoins, tokenized deposits. Pay attention to this as well. Here we go. Okay, so like I always mentioned before, every action has a reaction. Notice what happened with Swift May 31st, okay? Of this year, it was a few weeks ago. Then all this news of pitching, things for, proper regulations to like House Democrats, them hearing more use cases of DLT, hearing about, the testing of how do these pilots go and what kind of results you got and so on. Already covered that in a separate video. Then going from that to, what happened in London last Friday, okay? Then going from that to what's happening in Lisbon, Portugal today. All this in alignment. Harmonization. Talking about what's fractionalized. Talking about, so many things. Mandates, right? Good stuff. Jumping over to this as well. I think I have to restart. Yeah, I do. So remember what was just presented in regards to this. So I did talk about this at the beginning of the outline. This is also crucial to understand because even though this is a quant, I want you guys to understand the whole thing of supply and demand. So you have from the New Era, that's the citation. I could use other ones, but this is the one that it was well written. Crude propaganda. Rumors abound that Saudi Arabia is set to drop the petrodollar for Chinese yuan. Saudi Arabia is rumored to be dropping the US dollar for Chinese yuan, but are the reports correct? Well, as we get into it, it says reports are gushing in about Saudi Arabia, basically dropping that, and going away from, the US dollar. But experts have stressed the story is not what it seems. Maybe you guys are up to date on this. But it says back in March, the Wall Street Journal reported that Saudi Arabia is considering to trade some futures with Beijing and the Chinese yuan, with almost all oil exports, handled in the dollar since 1974. It is viewed as a boost for the struggling Chinese currency and also a message from I can't pronounce that name right, to Washington that it was unhappy with the lack of security support from the U.S. Again, action reaction. Tether, just like a regular U.S. dollar, right? Since 1971, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, it's just been an endless money printer, and was it 38 trillion in debt and so on. Is this a response? Is Tether really preparing for this by having Tether backed by gold, because again, if the next step is a full blown recession, and that dollar does, I'm not saying it's gonna drop to zero, but like, what if it's every dollar is worth like 70 cents instead of a full dollar? That's gonna be a problem, right? But even with Tether, people are pointing out in our space and other communities that Tether is the next black swan event. Is Tether strategically positioning themselves, again, in alignment with everything we talked about tonight? I think that is the case. Also understand why I'm pointing this out. In the clips that you saw tonight, Gilbert Verdian mentions not Tether. He states that what the institutions are going to go with, the central banks, is what? USDC. So even your Stellar plug with that, because as we know, Circle USDC was formerly known as Stellar USDC. And of course, USDC goes with Stellar XLM like peas and carrots, as the saying goes. So that's also incredibly interesting. Stellar USDC, obviously, we talked about Franklin Templeton, but most importantly, MoneyGram, right? It's all there. Jumping into this next part, that's crucial to understand. To elaborate a little bit more, I'm going to scroll further down. Let's pull this up as well. So this announcement did spark a flurry of reports that Saudi Arabia was poised to adopt the yuan for its oil exports, which would it would be quite remarkable considering. But BRICS News reported that a 1974 agreement between Washington and Riyadh, again, you guys probably got pronounced right, kudos to you, right? Had now expired, with Saudi Arabia preparing to sell its oil in multiple currencies. Now going further down, as we know, Saudi Arabia's 50-year-old petrodollar agreement with the United States has expired with no agreement in place. Saudi Arabia will now sell oil to multiple currencies, including Chinese RMB, euros, yen, and yuan, instead of exclusively US dollars. So it is a global shift, and that's what I want to point out. And there's more to it. You can read up more, and this has already been too long of a deep dive anyway. I do apologize for that. But my key thing for you guys to understand is that was, to a sense, kind of like false news that was shared. It's not that they're completely dropping the US dollar. Again, it's just another option. What's your key takeaway, even when it comes to the whole thing with Quant? This whole notion, and I hold XRP, of course I do. It's I always tie QNT with XRP because it's like, it's talking about like what ones would be like, wow, this is going to be worth a lot. And of course, Stellar's right after that. There's JASMY and so on. That's different use cases. But I will state this. I want you guys to understand it's so much more than just action, reaction. But man, oh man, when you see news like this about what is going on, USDC, is it going to be the next black swan event as far as USDT? I don't think so. I think Tether is preparing themselves. If they didn't do this shift to being back by gold, I think that would obviously be a problem. And of course, we can elaborate a little bit more about that. But let's take you to this for a second, and this is, I think there's about 4 or 5 tabs left. I know this is, I didn't think it was going to be this long, but it ended up being. It says, what's the real benefit of tokenized deposit? Programmability. Again, this is from today. I want you to hear this for a second too. This will also solidify it just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and play this. This one's 2 minutes, 38 seconds. You might have to tune in your ears a little bit more to hear it. Back to that example in the background, but listen to this. I think this is Gilbert Verdian, and some others are going to talk about this. 2.5 minutes, smash the like. You'll be glad you did. Here we go.
When we both are talking about the landscape, you're often talking about programmability. That's a special topic of you. So can you describe, please, where you at the landscape and what is your motivation?
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice to be here back at ABA Day. So at Quant, we build financial infrastructure which makes digital assets and tokenized money such as CBDC and tokenized bank deposits interoperable. The work that we've been doing is really transforming from electronic payments and an electronic financial system to a digital. And that's where DLT comes in its nature, it's digital. So if you look at society, we operate very digitally. COVID accelerated all of that. but our systems that we're using, they were designed as electronic. So we have a system that's really not fit for purpose based on what banks need, what central banks need, and what society demands. So what we did in terms of the projects we work with, we work across central banks. We're working, we did the project with the Bank of England and the BIS in Project Rosalind, issuing the retail CBDC and then opening that up for industry to test. And also, more recently, we're working in RLN, as David mentioned. So this is a regulated liability network. So this is where we're issuing tokenized deposits, commercial bank money, and making all forms of money interoperable. So it can work with RTGS, CBDC, can work with cards, merchants, and all the different types of flows. So what we're seeing as a whole is, what's so different about this new form of money? Why would anyone care? And we discovered this with the CBDC project in Rosalind. It came down to programmability. Running payments electronically can do two things. It's a push and a pull. But all of a sudden, if you have programmability embedded inside money for the first time, you can automate a whole bunch of counterparty risk goes away, a whole bunch of processes can be embedded. We have different types of locks and actions where it makes money digital and intelligent, so you can code that into money for the first time. So the programmability that we're seeing is really allowing these new types of use cases that people are searching: reverse payment, mortgage settlements, P2P, bond issuance and settlement on-chain, all of these complex things that are usually very complicated to transact become very simple because you can actually code that into the transaction itself.
Thank you.
Right, he is spot on with that, and we've given examples in regards to, showing how it is coded, and showing, remember, where it's written like, hey, this is what QNT does, and how it could switch to, the XRPL, or remember before also IOTA showed an actual demo, but actually showed it literally written into code. All right, let's take you over to here. He just mentioned some of those key things. Okay, so this is also 2024. This is good as well. This is a great catch. This is Quant Papa's Easter egg that he found. All right, so I want to share this as well, and then we're going to be almost done wrapping it up. All right, so check this out. This is crucial to understand. So this is from the Quant Network site, and again, an Easter egg. Go back to what Gilbert Vernian literally just mentioned in today's interview, right? So, very bottom left of the screen, you see where it says digital money discussion with investment association members. Opportunity for who? IA members to test their use case with tokenized bank deposits by when? June 2024. Do you understand why Quant is literally like Gilbert Verdian? Like they're like on a road trip, right? It's kind of like they're like Van Halen and Guns N' Roses and all these bands from back in the day, and they're on tour. They're on an institutional tour, right? So you see that plain as day. Who is, for example, you may be wondering, like, the IA, like what the blood clot is that, right? So let me show you this real quick. Let's go ahead and share this on the screen. Let's full screen this. So I want you guys to understand that, like every great thing, whether it's a video game and so on, has an engine. Some of you guys play like GTA. You play all sorts of things. There's Unreal Engine 5. I remember when I got my license for Unreal Engine 4, right? But every great thing has an engine behind it. Introduce this to you. Because it's crucial to understand that this particular thing, like it says, this engine, part of the investment association. IA is the investment association. Quant, right? So if Quant is the foundation of the blockchain economy, then who are some of these people? But most importantly, what would be the next steps? That's what Quant Papa is pointing out here. And that is what's crucial, because there is links to specific articles of interest to these IA members. Number one, Quant Network. Fund tokenization. Part of the getting to the brink of mass adoption, because right now we don't see that. I mean, we got guys in the comments, and again, listen, man, if you hate us because we talk about Quant, that's like that's weird, you know, but it's okay. We welcome, you know, another opinion. It's all good, you know. I'm not hating. Thank you for watching. You're helping the YouTube algorithm. But I will state this, guys: are we at mass adoption for Quant? No, not yet. Again, to the people that don't believe in this stuff, you're going to come into Quant when it does have mass adoption. That's when you're going to choose to invest. That doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. I just provide research information. Take it as you want. So, brink of mass adoption. Is there a link to that to explain how that would work? What about fund tokenization? New Dawn. What about solving liquidity? We already talked about that. So I'm going to take you to that part because that is fresh on the mind of everyone, right? So back, again, almost 2 years ago, not quite, about a year and a half ago, fund tokenization, brink of this mass adoption. And what's really cool is some of the things that you see here, because it gives you an idea of like, man, this really aged well as well. So it talks about this fund tokenization, and it states with the global asset management industry and how they take this approach to gather the underlying tech, in this case the blockchain tech, and how it's going to usher a new era of fund investing. That already happened. That already happened. This is especially true with alternative assets, where the minimum investment is prohibitively high, barring access to smaller investors. All right, how can we improve this? Well, they already did through the overledger. But what's also crucial to understand is what they predicted. It said that the global tokenized market back in 2020, what was this? 2021, yeah, was 2.3 billion. And of course, they predicted to grow to 5.6 billion to 2026. It's so much higher than that. It says, according to that report back then, and again by HSBC, the 10x potential tokenization. Tokenization could open up investment opportunities to large underbanked populations, supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal of reducing inequality. Also, the other thing to get into is understanding that what did we see? We saw examples of the universal wallet tied to the unified ledger will give access, and last video we talked about it, I think it's 53% of the world's unbanked people will now have access. And you're saying that this token is garbage? It's not going to do anything? I don't know, man. All right, how about this for a second? New market, $1 trillion opportunity. In reality, way more than that. Going to be $1 trillion market, no doubt about it. Kevin Unai, founder of BAT. Companies are realizing the benefits of easy settlement of securities. Back to Larry Fink's statement. The blockchain is famous for making it easy to settle a transaction in a transparent way. It's a perfect tech to use in the asset management industry. Even cites this whole thing at JP Morgan. I don't want to get into that again because we've already done that many times. But in conclusion, before we wrap it up, this is the final slide. Understand this. And we talked about action reaction. The recent news about Tether and the recent news about what is Saudi Arabia doing, and are they really dropping the US dollar? Nope. The point I was trying to make earlier is giving people extra options. Just kind of like why the Overledger is blockchain agnostic. We could settle in the XRPL. We could settle in XDC for trade. We could settle with IOTA. And we've seen those examples. Heck, even Polygon, we saw some of those examples. So with that also said, Uphold. I have Uphold. Some of you guys have Uphold account. This is where I constantly get my deposits every day. Like, you know, I love it. It's like a ka-ching every freaking day for my Caspa miner, right? And shout out to Burke if he's still watching. He mines it as well. But the point is, that's Uphold. Again, action reaction. Check out this news. It states that Uphold, and this is posted from the Digital Pound Foundation. We understand how huge that is because Quant Network. Uphold has notified its European users that it will cease support for 6 stablecoins. Remember what Gilbert Verdian was mentioning in regards to USDC, guys? Think about it, guys. effective July 1st, aligning with MiCA regulations. Users must convert these stablecoins by June 28th, after which they will be automatically converted to USDC. Boom! That is Verdian's example. He literally gave everybody a warning. So he gave 2 warnings today, everybody. One, which was this, basically speaking, and the other was what? Warning to all of the central banks. You are running out of time. For us, in conclusion, are we running out of time for QNT? You see it at literally like rock bottom. And I got to watch all of Mind Crypto's video, and I will. I only got to see a piece of it. But I'm telling you, call to action. Shout out to Brother Mind. Go watch his video where he talks about a $40 QNT. Because if that does happen, I might have to shift other assets that I have and be like, my God. Because one of my biggest regrets is not coming into QNT when I was first introduced to it at $40. I came into much later. Okay. I think it was like maybe 85, 90 and so on. And, you know, like we've seen a lot of that happen, but right now we're at 74. I would never give you guys financial advice, but for me personally and my own personal friends, I tell them, for example, like, you might want to consider getting some QNT if you haven't already, or DCAing more, going all in on it, on all of it. I mean, that's up to you guys, but I think we should all check out Mind's full video in regards to that, because if there is evidence for 40, then, ooh, wow. That is, as the saying goes, like, I haven't had a lot of back up the truck moments. Most of those moments happen during crypto winter, 2022, 2023, right? Those were our back up the truck moments. You know, FTX collapse and so on. Like, man, I backed up the truck for JASMY for that. And some of these other ones, like, you know, Filecoin, GRT during that time. You guys did other things as well. Do we have that second chance for that back of the truck up moment? I think the answer is yes, but again, it's not financial advice. So, with that said, that is going to finally conclude the coverage of the night. If you appreciate coverage like this and you want to get other research, you can follow me over on the X platform. I am under review for half monetization over there, which is cool. And I do want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We did take up to about 227, which is super cool. I'm going to do now is kick it back to the comments, because I haven't done it for the longest time. And let's see what we got. If you guys have any questions, comments, and so on, we will definitely get into it. I just saw word of advice. If I do get a phone call, I will have to take it, because it's my buddy coming from across town to help me out with an issue with my car. Okay. All right. Because, you know, we live in Phoenix, you know, engines can overheat and stuff, right? Anyway. All right. So let's see here. The one and only. Yo, everyone. Been a while. Hey, good to see you, man. Glad to have you. Watching vids on the live streams, but you're working on it. All right. Let's read this as well. From Francisco Dennis Lil. If Quant is the overledger for the BIS, Finternet, the market cap of BTC is small potatoes. Yes. That is a great way of looking at it, because Augustine Carstens has literally mentioned, you know, the bigger picture, you know, gave the definition of the Finternet. Go back to the old video. I think it's toward the end. We give the explanation and the definitive definition of that. I don't want to get into it again, because I already gave you guys too much. You know, that's the value of watching some of the other stuff. Hump Not Dump, Badir, aka Crypto Winter, who's now Crypto Summer, let's be honest, right? BTC will pump when NVIDIA drops its new mega super chips. Amazon said they won't buy NVIDIA until the most expensive chips are made by NVIDIA drops. So the miners, it's funny how you type miners like that. You know, a lot of people do that. You know, it's just we're supposed to type it miners, but I do it too, and it's just like Jeffrey Epstein has injected himself into the typing, right? That's so bad. Anyway, for BTC are waiting for the chips. Yeah. All right. Basically, altcoins money have been going to the AI stocks. That's a good point. Glad to hear it, Crypto Homes. Right on. You took advantage of it, right? Very cool. All right. I did as well. Not a back up the truck up moment, but I did as well. I was glad I did that. All right. You had 1,000 Quant sold 1 year ago. You had 1,000 Quant? My God. All right. Help not dump. KYC. YouTube user says QT is a joke coin. All right. Well, thank you for your opinion. God bless you. All right. Brian Marcus. All government data is lies. Scam. All right. Well, welcome, Brian Marcus. GG Digital G says happy Taco Tuesday. Oh, it's Taco Tuesday. Wow. Well, whatever I get will have to be delivered, or I don't know, suck it up and have a can of Super Stomp, right? All right, let's see here. Hey, GG. Good tech means nothing for price. All right, well, thank you for the research. Thank you for your intel. All right, Digital G, Watch Guru just copied and pasted stuff. Always steals content. Yeah, well, there's another guy. He doesn't really show his face because in reality, I don't think he cares. I normally don't put people on blast, but I think his name is Crypto Geek or something like that. Man, that guy's like the National Enquirer of like crypto, or he's like the Sun. Like, you guys remember from like 80s and 90s, the Sun, the tabloid. My dad used to get a kick out. I remember him showing me. He pulls it up and he's like, hey, I need to say Max, hey son, look at this. B-17 bomber found on the moon. It's like, yeah, give me a break, right? Anyway, no one is shaking me out of your QNT. Awesome, man. If you're under 50, great to hear it. No, it's not Swift coin. So that is actually like real Swift. Like the one that's existed since the 70s. That's Swift, right? That we had, for example, sanctions put on Russia. That particular Swift, not Swift blockchain. Hey, Guga, good to see you, man. Went gig along on QNT today. Let's effing go. Nice. Glad to see you did it. Glad to have you, Goo. All right, Cinemex, what up? Glad to have you. 707. Some of you guys probably might have left by now, and that's okay. If I knew that, think about that. If I knew that, I'd probably open up a long position, but I get it. He's referencing, yeah. All right, let's go further down. There's only one Swift, the token. Prove it. Okay. We've done more than enough dives about that, but that's all right. All right, so welcome investing in Matty Ice. I don't know where you're really going with that, but that's okay. Caroline likes the Digital Pound Foundation, not to mention pounding at home. Wow, Tim. All right. Great, Beatty. Good day, mate. How you doing? Nice work as usual. Good day, mate. Mr. Conwell in the chat. This guy, Mr. Ahmed. All right, enough about that. You're probably like, bro, you don't even sound like us. I don't know. At least I'm trying, right? All right, Ahmed, welcome. See, I didn't call you Ahmed. You remember that in the past? Sorry about that. Ahmed, welcome. Good to have you. He says, hey, gang. And he's got his old avatar. Remember I said election year, you need to bring that back? Cool, man. GTA 5 for life. Boil it, mash it, stick it in a freaking stew. Yes, indeed. Hey, I remember you with your avatar. See, it's good to remember people with their avatars and stuff, right? Why is this all fidgeting? Oh, I know why it is. It's because I forgot to turn on that corner light. Dang it, that's not good. Well, it's the end of the show. Shoot, I didn't know that. That's gonna mess up my outline. Yeah, don't want to be like that one guy that has a TV show from the old channel. Anyway, all right, let's go further down. Hey everyone, don't forget to like. Thank you so much. Sorry, but needs to share the opportunity. Hey, no problem. Thank you, Buzz. All right, Max. QNT XRP #1 crypto says free. In my opinion, yeah, if you hold them long enough. Those are the ones, in my opinion, that will have the highest value, right? Again, it's just my opinion, but, we could agree to disagree. All right, Serge. Great research. Thanks, man. Do appreciate that. All right. Our 3/4 plays a big role as well. Oh, yeah. ISO is just a scam narrative. All right. Well, thank you for the great research. All right. Landy Flowers types a 1 from earlier. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Elon Musk, I didn't realize the show was on. Yeah, I can't take you on X. I would type in MICH as how I normally do before, and you don't pop up anymore. So as a result, I can't tag you. I don't know. And then I had somebody, I didn't know if it was you because And it said it was Elon Musk, but I didn't know, you know, it could be a fake Elon Musk. So I don't know. You're here, awesome. Grafted another 3 quant, cool. All right, GTA 5 for life. So hold on. So am I correct that if Quant went to a 1 trillion market cap, the cost would be 83,000 Quant? All right, so let's pull up Quant real quick. Or let's not. So yeah, you're not far off on that at all. Yeah, you're right, because BTC is a 1.2 hold on, 369, and then that's billions. Yeah, so it's 1.2 trillion. So yeah, you're not off at all. That was the thing that we shared at the beginning of the outline. So you're right. Yeah, it'd be 83,000 QNT, and that's based on current prices. Okay, like if QNT had the market cap of BTC, what BTC's market cap currently has, right? So the price per QNT token, if it had BTC's market cap, that is correct. Okay, and the tokenomics match that because we know QNT has a far less supply compared to QNT has a far less supply compared to BTC. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the max supply is 14.8 million. So if they release 100%, well, actually, you're right. So 12 million. So that's currently. So if they release the whole thing, it would have a little bit of effect, but you know, it's still gonna be a hell of a lot of money, right? Hey, you're welcome. Thanks, man. All right, Max, love you, buddy. Thank you for the research and all you do. Thanks, man. I guess that's your way of saying sayonara from the Rice Crop Consortium. Hassan, if I pronounce that right. What's your price on Swiftcoin for this year? I think it's more than possible for it to hit $1. I could be wrong, but you know, I've been pretty consistent. I'm not the only one that feels that way. I will state this. I won't spill the beans completely, but I've been invited to work with the Underdog Research Channel, our brother Rue, and we are going to continuously provide you guys some really awesome Swift coverage. We're trying to find some more things. I can't reveal all of it because that wouldn't be right. But it's a deep dive. It's a really awesome deep dive. It has to do with some cool key things that Underdog found. So I'm gonna try to make an effort to find more things in regards to that. But yeah, very tempting to even load up on that. But I look at everything that stands out for me right now. I think the three of them take the cake right now. It's H bar. I think it's around 7 cents. That's freaking sale right now. QNT is a really great price. Heck, even Casper is, but Casper's been kind of Casper with the hard R has been kind of holding this area. But as far as like significant sale is definitely QNT. Yeah, BSV is a great price. I mean, Stellar's great. There's a lot of things at a great price, but I'm talking about the ones that, like, you know, somebody said you got to pick 3. Will there ever be another coin like BTC or ETH? Well, I mean, as far as like virtually, like, you know, saying as far as price, are you talking about like being slow dinosaur tech? I mean, like, we can talk all day about this. Like, where are you getting at with that? Like, I don't know where you're getting at with that. Because, I mean, you know, you may be looking at like just from market cap perspective or price valuation or where they were last bull market. I'm sure there is, but, you know, I'm not looking to do a 4-hour show, but, you know, I'll try to see more information about that. Okay, so that is you. Okay, I'll remember that. Really? That's pretty lame. Huh. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. You said yikes. Yes, price. Yeah, okay. So, you know, that's why we cover things like QNT. So, you know, here, I'll just give you, this is just for you. I do welcome you, Israel. So, let's pull this up. This is for you, you know, and then I really got to go. So, let's do with the market cap of. I'm going to type this in real quick. I'm going to get primed and ready to go for you guys. QNT. Okay. The price with the market cap of Bitcoin. Yeah, let's pull it up. This is what GTA V4 Life was talking about, Israel. Let's share this. Okay. Your key takeaway should be understanding that if BTC, which moves at like 4 to 7 TPS, as Michael Cornwell's point out, the guy that's in the comments, Elon Musk, you know, it's like the Pony Express of crypto. I get it. Michael Saylor says it's a proven tech. What was the other thing he says? It's digital property, digital real estate. Okay, whatever. Again, our problem still exists of what? Does it follow the original Bitcoin white paper? No. Research SegWit, right? So it does not do that. The only one of the original Bitcoins, of that group, if you will, that does that is BSV, which in my opinion is the original Bitcoin. That one does 9 million TPS. It doesn't do 4 to 7 TPS. It does 9 million TPS. I get it. Some people say that Satoshi's a charlatan. I don't want to get into all that stuff. My thing is this. QNT allows, this is your key takeaway, Israel, allows for hundreds of blockchains to be fully interoperable, okay, to talk to each other and so on. I mean, I don't know if you know about APIs, but like your phone, what that's tied into. Imagine having something that literally, we talk about utility, like is tied into just about everything. So if BTC, which in my opinion is just a glorified meme token, okay, has virtually hardly any utility if you really think about it. Has tons of pairings, I'll give it that credit. Was able to go to 78K or whatever the price is, and it is dinosaur tech. What about this one for Web3? The assembly line of Web3. This is literally the Microsoft, the Microsoft of blockchain, the Microsoft of crypto. Okay? What about this? So you should look at this like, it's kind of like coming into BTC back in like 2013, because if you look at the price and market cap and et cetera, and it has way less coins, you have the opportunity to own even one full one. Like even right now, can you own a full BTC? I mean, yeah, you can, but you're going to pay well over, 60 to 70 or 80K, right? Right now, you could buy QNT at like $74 and just treat it, store it away, hold it, right? Again, not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. So that gives you an idea. What about when we get to the height of this bull market? Do you think QNT with the market cap of BTC will be that? No. It's going to be, again, QNT would be dramatically even higher in price. So there's less of these. Scarcity. Big time. All right? Those should all be your key takeaway. All right. Dennis Lill, BTC and ETH, the blockbusters of crypto, will be replaced by faster, cheaper, more diverse coins. Great point. Israel, Marquez, thank you. That's what I thought. BTC had no real project, just a pioneer. QNT has potential. Right. But I also want you to have this as your key takeaway, and everybody who still may be tuned in. When we talk about what Israel just said, pioneer. Gilbert Verdin is tied into the pioneers. The pioneers of the internet before the internet was Web 1. So when we talk about my examples from earlier of, private alpha, like in a video game, then going from private alpha to public alpha, then going from private beta to public beta, and then going from public beta to a retail release. That's the way you got to look at Quant. Private beta is over. Getting to the point of like a public beta, and then finally having like that full, like you said, like there's going to be a mandate. What is the mandate? Release. Because it's like, we talk about standards. I'm just trying to have people understand this by putting it into like analogies for everybody to understand. Because I understand a lot of this does still seem like Greek to some people. Like they hear DLT, they hear they don't know what that is. You got to understand the bigger picture. What it's really tied into. Your kids, grandkids, I don't know, for generations to come will thank you later. I'm being really honest about it. That's just, nobody wants to listen to the guy until they make it. And then once they make it, everybody listens to that guy. Like, you don't want that. You want it to be like, also to do your own research and understand the fundamentals and understand what it's really, really tied into. There is a thing called Web3. We're not at it yet. We're at like Web 2.5. So again, Gilbert Verdian, his ties to a thing called the IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. That's existed since, I believe, 1984, 85, give or take. For him to have all of that background is huge. Okay? Those guys are the pioneers of the internet. And they are really behind Quant 110%. So, if you're old enough to remember, maybe you're born in a different era, 80s and 90s and so on. I mean, thank God we don't have dial-up anymore, but that was the era that we had then. This is the next era. And this next era is the new money and what technologies are tied into it. And that's what our community pays attention to. And that's why we do these shows. That's why we talk to each other. That's why we tag each other. So, again, give me a follow there. Follow other people. Like, you can follow, how about this guy? Follow him. Follow him. Do it. Do it. Do it now. Follow Vibrant Finance for Alpha. Like, for real. Like, he crushes it. You say I crush it, you crush it too, my friend. All right? Follow guys like Rue Black, Underdog Research Channel, Shook Focus. Follow Rob Mass. Shout out to our brother Rob. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm friends with these guys, but in reality, I do give them credit where credit's due. Everybody gives their own. They provide something of value. All right, and let's just leave it at that. We all study the internet of value. Okay. And I also understand that, people look at like BSV, they're like, oh yeah, well, what about understanding the internet of trust? There's not much trust there. I think there's trust there. I'm going to seize the opportunity of not giving into the fear like I did, what was it? 2010, I actually did know about BTC. My God, what a mistake. You know what I mean? Should have read more into that. It is what it is. You live and you learn. But anyway, just we can make money with meme coins, certain ones. At the same time, I hope to God that you don't look at YouTube comments from naive individuals, I hate to call them that have not done a lick of research. This guy has done tons of research. Rue Black has done tons of research. Rob Mass has done tons of research. Guys like that, you know what I mean? And yeah, even Crypto Hulk, you know what I mean? He has alpha, you know what I mean? He might stroke his ego left and right, but that guy provides a lot of great research, you know what I mean? That's the point, because you got to understand this. There'll come a day and time where the adoption is there, and were you left behind? That's where it's at. It's just I wasn't interested. It didn't fly overnight. Anything that's solid, go back and watch anything from Warren Buffett, especially. What does he say? Even though he's kind of anti-crypto, he will even say anything that's worthwhile is like a 10-year investment, right? And he's one of the most wealthiest guys in the world. So, but the beautiful thing is, crypto, man, I mean, forget having a traditional savings account. I haven't had a savings account since 2021, for real, because it's so much better with what we got going on here. Anyway. All right. I'm going to read the last bit of comments, and that's it. So, elites can choose the next BTC, get it too cheap. Oh, he just locked in. That's cool. You can watch the replay. Brandon Mays, Better Days. Thank you, broski. Yeah, you're very welcome. JASMY, XRP, HBAR, all of those. I'm not going to just pick one. I will still give you guys my top 6 or 7. So, QNT, XRP, tied number 1 for me. This is just me. You don't have to do the exact same thing as me. XLM is number 2. JASMY is number 3. HBAR would be number 4. And then I think I have XDC, or actually I think I have BSV at number 5. And I have XDC number 6. And there's some other ones your algos, and there's obviously a whole bunch of other ones. I'm not saying that to offend anybody, but that's just kind of the way I look at it. So anyway. Yeah, you're welcome, Brandon. Hey, that's cool shades, man. Hope to see more of you. Richie Rich, you're going to be the last comment no matter what. If somebody else types another comment, that's fine, but I just got to get going. Love hearing great Q&T news. It helps eliminate any FUD that happens from time to time. Yeah, absolutely. And I will state this. There is an individual. It has to do with JASMY. You can draw your own conclusion. came out with another video about how JASMY's going to go to 0. I want you to state this. Think about his intentions, or anybody else's intentions that have done that. They are trying to save face. And that is so wrong, in my opinion. Okay? We have a difference of opinion, but to me, that is so wrong. You would rather save face because you're hoping that you will be right compared to just leaving it alone and allowing people to make up their own minds for what they want to get into and so on. Because a click engagement, that, in my opinion, is irresponsible. And I will not mention who that is. You guys know who that guy is. I will never be that guy. You know, some people have said to me, Max, your whole channel is just positivity and you're only about good news and stuff like that. No, I'm more about research, but I'm not going to give into toxicity. No way. Not doing that. Think about this. From a content creator perspective, you have so much more to lose compared to that. And I get it. I get it. FUD in videos creates lots of engagement. It ain't worth it to me to ever go down, to me, like, what do they call it, go to the dark side? I am never doing that. If anybody's ever hoping that, you know, hey, could you make a FUD video? No. I may even believe that like some other project is garbage. I'm not doing that. I never am going to do that. To exception if it's like a rug pull, you know what I mean? Like if it's like a meme token and it's blatant, that's different. But why am I covering that anyway? You know what I mean? You talk about utility-based stuff. All right. You are the last comment. All right. You get the, yeah, there you go. You get the last comment. Jason Lucas, thank you for being here. All right. You guys have a great one. Sorry about the weird little fuzzy thing right here. I forgot to turn on the other light. Sorry about that. But anyway, you guys take it easy. Rick it different, man. All right. Sayonara from the Rice Cup Consortium. Let's go. If I'm here with you guys tomorrow, if you enjoyed the alpha, all right, tonight, I have bombshell tomorrow for JASMY. All right, I'm out of here. Bye. All right, bye-bye.
Standing on the corner spot, just driving some of the hottest cars New York has ever seen. From dropping some of the hottest verses rappers ever heard. From the dope spot with the smoke, fleeing the murder scene, you know me well. From nightmares of a lonely cell, my only hell. But since when y'all brothers know me to fail? Heck no, we're all my brothers with the rubber grips for shots. And if you with me, mama, rub on your tits and whatnot. I'm from the school of the hard knocks, you must not. That outside is violate our box in my pot. Let's stick up the world and split it 50-50, Let's take the dough and stay real taking, And set the Chris and get pissy, flowing beneath me like the memory of my brother Biggie, baby.